What's up, everybody? How's it going today? I am dying a little bit. I'll be honest with you. My voice is pretty messed up today. The allergies are real, folks. It is not pretty out there. There's a lot of allergy stuff in the air. Allergy stuff. So I am here. But my voice is a little messed up, and we'll see how long I can make it. It has been tough. The chest is definitely trying to sleep at night. Not easy. Not easy, guys. My eyeballs hurt. My throat hurts, my chest hurts. Everything hurts. But I'm here. So I made it this far. So we're going to do some stuff tonight. We're going to hang out. We're going to watch some videos. I saw Donald Trump giving an absolutely horrible speech at West Point. I mean, is doing a follow your dreams speech that hard? I've never seen someone say follow your dreams and then follow it up with the most insane bullshit I've ever heard before. I've never seen somebody fail so hard to give a follow your dreams speech. That's the easiest one. It was a little bit weird and out of place to say to a bunch of people that had enlisted in the army that they need to find what they love to do and do that. They kind of joined the army, Donald. They're kind of committed to something. I think they're going for that. And a dude who dodged the draft, who talked about he's like, I love the army, I love the military. Yeah, you love the military, defending that ass is what you love. It was weird. But anyways, was that a speech? I don't think it was. I followed my dream. I got a $400 million jumbo jet. Exactly. It was fucking weird, man. It was you guys remember that speech that I think it was an admiral gave about making your bed, and people clown that shit because they're oh, he said, make my bed. So it was a really good speech. It was an amazing speech because it was from somebody who had accomplished a bunch of shit in his life. And he was trying to say, you really got to break down your big goals into small goals. And you got to accomplish those small goals to achieve these big goals. And it's about doing the little things in life that make you successful and make you happy. And that's a follow your dreams speech. Okay? That's a... Donald Trump, not a motivational speaker. Definitely could have been possibly an insult comic. He definitely could have headlined at Joe Rogan's mothership in Austin, Texas. But not a motivational speaker. Not an Eric Thomas, not a Les Brown. Definitely not Tony Robbins. Needs to work on that shit. All right, well, let's see who all's here. Let's say hi to everybody. I'm going to try not to lose my voice. Nina, you won. Nina, number one. Nina, win. Okay, that was terrible. I don't know where that accent was going. I'll be honest with y'all. It was a mixture of 17 different fucking ethnicities. What's up, Alan? What's going on? Roxanne, what's happening? Robert, what's happening? Every time I try and do a Russian accent, I sound like I'm Italian. It's not solid. I probably just shouldn't do accents. What's up, Mike Tesh? What's going on? What's up, Mike? You guys came over for the 21st Century Suffragists. I saw that they had Ojeda on. I saw that they had Ojeda over there. That was pretty tight. I love seeing Ojeda. It makes me so happy. Those guys and Ojeda in the same TV screen. That's happiness inducing. They did what makes them happy. They followed their dreams, guys. Is the intro music downloadable? It's just intro music from an editing software I use. I could probably figure out how to upload it. This song is growing on me. Nina, my hold music is working. Silent Siren, what's up, Silent? Fixing the pool, getting the pool ready. Very nice. It's that time of the year. I'm about to go to the beach. About to go to the beach in a couple weeks. AJ, what's happening? Jen, what's up, Jen? Robert, what's going on? Let's see who else is in here. Kelly, what's up, Kelly? What's up, T. Freeman? Reverend, what's up, Reverend? My ginger. You gotta say it that way, too. My ginger. Dude, the pollen does suck. Pollen is terrible. Spiking, were you on? You were on there too, right? Yeah, you were on there. You were there talking to him. Janelle, what's up, Janelle? Talking to a Jetta. That's the kind of shit that makes me happy. What up, LB? Where were we the other day, LB? I saw you. In the comments. Who was I watching? I can't remember anything. Right now, everything is a pollen-induced haze, guys. Pinkerbell, what's up, Pinkerbell? Randy, what's up, Randy? You got. I need some. The problem with mine was like it rained here, and it made the trees come all over the place. The trees got excited and just exploded. Like the rain would have been helpful after. Like my allergies are never this bad this late in the season, man. My allergies usually hang out between March and May. We are almost to June. We are supposed to be done with this. Carbon, that's who it was. That's right. I love Carbon, dude. Carbon's a good dude. I saw D-Cypher over there, too. LB was over there supporting. I love Carbon. Carbon's a smart dude. I like watching all those dudes. My dude, Carbon, Jaden. I like the Parker kid and the other one, Dean. I like the debater guys that like really know their shit, and I got a lot of respect for those debater guys because I couldn't handle it. I don't have any patience, man. Like the first time somebody's like ad hominem, I'm like, yeah, I'm insulting you because I think you're a fucking idiot. Like they're like, you lost the debate. Then I'm like, I don't care. I just want to tell you you're stupid. Like I'm definitely not the guy to go on debate shows, man. All I want to do is just like talk shit to people and tell them that the things they believe are dumb. Carbon does a really good job. Carbon does a good job. My dude does a good job. I love seeing all those dudes debate. That's one of like the first things that like I started watching in the political sphere was Matt Dillahunty debate Destiny over pro-choice. Actually, it wasn't pro-life versus pro-choice. It was just pro-choice. But they had two differing opinions on why pro-choice was the right choice. Matt Dillahunty is my dog. That's my dude right there. And his whole idea, just being like, you don't have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body, period, end of story. It don't matter, And so that was kind of cool to watch two people that had the same goal, the same opinion on what the end game of the topic was, but had different ways of getting there. And so I like watching that. Christopher Hitchens is one of my favorite, dude. Christopher Hitchens. I don't know if you guys ever watch any Christopher Hitchens. But I love Christopher Hitchens. And I love him because he could be an asshole and be right at the same time. And he's so sharp, so nasty, so smart, so educated. I love watching that dude. I loved watching him just go at people. One of the other ones I watched, Sam Harris debate Jordan Peterson on religion when I first started watching. I like that one too. But yeah, I like Carbon. So if you guys don't know who Carbon is, you should definitely go check out Carbon over there. Karbon. Carbon is dope. Yeah, I saw that. I saw Ojeda on the suffragettes. Yep. What's up, Kabongo? What's going on? Let's see who else is here. Yeah, Destiny, he's a bit an ass, so he can be very hit and miss for I think a lot of people. I think he's a good debater. I don't agree with everything the dude says. That's for fucking sure. But I think that goes for everybody, right? I think that Hassan dude's he seems like a nice dude. But I don't agree with everything that dude says either. I agree with a lot Matt Dillahunty says and a lot of what Christopher Hitchens say. Those guys are probably more on my style than anybody else on the internet. I mean, Hitchens is dead. We didn't go live on Thursday. Nah, I have to take some time especially right now. Like I said, my allergies is so bad. So it's hard for me to even get on and talk and stuff. And I just got too much shit to do. Like I said before, I'm not like these other guys. I have a 40-hour career that's very, very fucking stressful. Very stressful. Especially right now. It's not getting any less stressful by the minute. Actually, like every day is getting more stressful. We just entered that 7-week period that we talked about. We talked about in mid-April that there is 7 weeks until we start to see the repercussions of the tariffs, and we're entering that time period now, and you're seeing prices increase. We're going to see outages. Donald Trump obviously just threw a hissy fit the other day and decided he was going to, jump the China tariff back up. Whatever the fuck he's going to do. The dude's a moron. But anyways, yeah, it's hard for me to be able to get on here as much as everybody else gets on here because, like, I just got shit I have to do every day of my life. Any day I'm on here is because I already worked 8 hours a day. I already did stuff with my kids. I already took care of responsibilities, and then I got on here. So yeah, I do try to be on as much as possible. Aaron Raw, I like him too. He's super dope. I like that dude. He's super cool. What's up, Kevin Anderson? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give you a virtual side hug right now, Reverend. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday, Reverend. I'm sure he is the ripe old age of 29 and a half. So I'm trying to stay on here Wednesdays and Saturdays to make sure I stay consistent, and then try to also be on here as much as possible whenever I can. And I don't see this getting any less stressful. So I'd like to say, like, once it's not as stressful at my regular job, that I will be on more often. But if I say that, I'll never be on here because everything just seems like it's going to be more stressful for the next year or two, to be honest with you guys. So I hope. I mean, I always hope that things get less stressful and things become more consistent and easier to deal with, but I just don't see that happening. So I'll be on here on Wednesday and Saturdays as consistently as possible, and I'll try to be on whenever I can as well. All right, guys. So, Reverend, don't lie. Don't lie. We all know you're 30. All right. What up, Tired? What's going on, Tired? Happy birthday to you for Reverend. How about that? You guys get to share a birthday. All right. So, anyways, let's talk about the videos we're gonna watch today. Let's watch about these. Mark, you know what I'm saying. Hey, you guys know about... Hold on. Before we get a little to me. You guys know about this trend on TikTok? I don't know anything about the TikToks. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to be on the TikToks. I didn't do a good job. I don't know how to talk to the children. I don't know how to do it. But you guys saw this trend on TikTok where people make videos that say somebody's got to do it. And that's all they say. Somebody's got to do it. Who's going to do it? I was like, damn. I'm like, when you can make a TikTok trend and just everybody knows what the fuck you're talking about, I was like, God damn, you are a hated individual. Like, just think about that. You watch a video like that, you're not like, they talking about me. Like, you'd be surprised as shit. You'd be all the surprised if somebody was like, they're talking about you. You'd be like, the fuck? What you mean they're talking about me? What'd I do? Imagine being so fucking bad, such an asshole, that people can literally just make videos across the internet just says somebody needs to do it. Like, he knows it's about him. He's like, they're talking about me. And that's not even his narcissism. Like, that's just actually, like, real shit. He was like, yeah, they talking about me. Oh, man. I was like, oh, is that from Kendrick Lamar? Is that really? No shit. I didn't know that. I do like Kendrick, but I've never been a huge fan of Kendrick's. Somebody's got to do it. Is he saying the same shit? Wait, is Kendrick? You saying what you know what I'm saying? Is Kendrick saying that? All right. Let's go back down. You guys help me out. That's what LB's here for. LB's trying to help me out because I'm not a boomer though. I'm Gen X, man. I'm the feral generation. I'm pretty close to being. I was almost a millennial. I was like right on the border. I'm like, what do they call it whenever like they're like, what is your zodiac sign? And you're like, well, I was kind of born at the same time. I was a Scorpio, but I was also a Libra. Like cusp born, right? That's when you're born on the cusp of the next sign. I am a cusp millennial. Like I was born right on the fucking edge of being a millennial. Like I dipped my toes in millennialism. But I stay Gen X. That's my gang. Okay? That's how we roll. That's my set. Is it from They Not Like Us? Maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google it. TV off. Okay. TV off. That's probably what you're probably right. What up, Troy Scott? Oklahoma. I think that's the only way you're supposed to say Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma. A zennial? Is that what I am? I'm a zennial. Gen X ground floor. Yeah, Liz. Fucking gang, Roxanne. That's right. That's why we all hang out. That's why we all like each other, because we're all Generation X. We all know about the bullshit we all went through. We all know the real reasons you should hate boomers, okay? Like all these millennials, they think they hate boomers. They don't know the right reasons, all right? Gen X knows why you should be mad at boomers, okay? We had to deal with that shit, all right? All right, let's watch this shit. Whatever, Grandpa. My wife says I can't go like this because my shirt's got my shirt's a little holy. It's a really nice shirt though. Sorry for that. Showing you guys some skin.
Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you got for this wet ass P word.
Yeah, that's right. It's showing skin up here. My wife says I can't put my arms up like that, because I'll be showing the holes. It's a nice shirt. It's really light. It's soft. It's very soft. I'm not throwing it away. It's my favorite shirt. All right, so we got Chris Norlund. Chris Norlund says that he has a plan, or Elon Musk has a plan to destroy MAGA. The reason I clicked this was because I want to know how many people are finally catching up to the fact that Curtis Yarvin and all these guys are behind this shit. So I'm hoping this video is about that. It probably isn't, but I wanted to watch it just in case it was. We got Ezra Klein talking about the big ugly bill and what's actually inside of it and how that shit's bad for us. We actually might watch. So this is only 4.5 minutes. There's an extra long one. If we have more time at the end of the show, maybe we'll jump to part 2. Maybe we'll watch this at the end. We'll put that up here. And if we have time, we'll watch part 2 too. We got some Robert Reich, because that's my dude. That's my dude right there, Robert Reich, talking about rich people being assholes and why Trump really wants a second Gilded Age. So we're gonna watch that. We got this dude. I know you guys remember this dude. This was the dude that put out that video about Canadians being upset with Americans. It's from Jim's Radio Shop. You know, when the dude that all he likes to do is build radios and have a good time when he's pissed off, all right, you know there's something wrong with this country. So he talks about watching some Fox News for the first time. And then we got Leeja Miller discovering Curtis Yarvin. It's about goddamn time, Leeja, you caught up. I mean, one of the reasons that I started looking into Curtis Yarvin was because of Leeja Miller's Peter Thiel videos. Like, why are we making just now? Why are we making videos just now on Curtis Yarvin, Leeja? Leeja is my best friend forever. She just doesn't know it. It's in my head, okay? So we're going to watch some videos, check some stuff out. Yes, Chris Norlund does in fact be spitting them facts. All right, Chris Norlund, fucking dude is dope. I like the dude. So yeah, so let's check it out. Let's watch some videos. Wayne, you already watched the Jim's radio video? All right, cool. I like Jim. He seems like I like people that are just fucking logical human beings, just down to earth, just saying what it is. And that man just seems like he just says with that exasperated ass tone, he cannot believe the dumb shit that is going on in this society. And I am so there for that. So let's go ahead. let's watch Chris Norlund. And let's find out about Elon Musk's plan to destroy MAGA. Let's watch it. Let's see what it is. I think it's just him existing.
So Elon Musk and Donald Trump, as you know, are teaming up to save America. They want to make sure you're all rich and that everyone has a job.
Oh, yeah.
Lately, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang has also jumped on the Trump
I love
train
Tesla.
to give some details of his plan along with Elon Musk. Let's have a watch at this.
Lady tired.
I would say the first use case will probably be in manufacturing. There's estimates tens, if not 100 million jobs that are workers that are, the world is short of workers. And aging population, declining birth rates. And so I think the world needs a lot more workers.
Yeah, but here's the problem. And I actually don't have a problem with Jensen Huang. I think that, everything NVIDIA has done has been really, really solid. I mean, he made a huge bet on his company and himself. They were almost bankrupt. So the story of NVIDIA is actually pretty interesting. And this is what I keep saying, because I was just watching the other day. I was watching the More Perfect Union, their video on why Trump supporters will never admit that they're wrong. And it's the same shit. It's just like these people think that the future of America is like this, bringing back industry in the form of automotive or steelworking and stuff like that. And the reality is that when he says that the world needs hundreds of millions more workers, what they mean is they mean people that can build semiconductors, people that can work in these high-end semiconductor factories. And not everybody that works in those has to be like super well educated, but you do have to have like a certain mentality. This is why I tell my kids, like, one of my kids wants to be a marine biologist, which is dope because it's the ocean is somewhere that hasn't been explored to the extent of, say, something like space has. We don't need backwards thinking. We don't need hundreds of millions of steel workers. We don't need hundreds of millions of auto workers. We don't need hundreds of millions of plumbers. As the world moves forward into the future, we're going to need people that are, interested in working in these semiconductor factories and doing work that will be high-paying work, will be taking. But to get people to do that, you gotta stop shitting on education. You gotta stop shitting on being something other than blue collar. Like, you've got to convince Americans that these jobs in these semiconductor factories are their future, just like it's the country's future. And you got to bring us along with you. You can't just expect us to build your fucking robots. It should be a case of all of us benefiting, not just the rich. And that's the real issue with this mentality.
Robotics is one of the best ways for us to supplement all of that and help companies recover the lost revenues on the one hand and drive productivity, which reduces inflation for the world on the other hand. And so I think robotics is going to be very important to that. In different areas, you could have probably deploy into manufacturing first because they obviously need it most.
Yeah, and see, so here's something I'm going to tell you guys. So Walmart just decided to cut something like 15,000 jobs, a lot of them corporate. UPS decided to cut 20,000 jobs. Retail overall in the last 4 months has lost 64,000 jobs, right? The retail industry. So here's what happens when you lose those jobs. When those jobs go away, companies start trying to figure out, because they don't want to lose production, right? So they don't want to lose all those employees and then have profits decline because now they don't have enough workers. So what are those companies going to do? Those companies are going to start looking into robotics. They're going to look into automation. They're going to look into ways to make the same amount of money with less labor. And what's that going to do? Once you have these companies, let's say you have truck drivers, and let's say all the truck drivers go on strike. And some company goes, well, we're not going to give in to the demands of these truck drivers. So what should we do to continue doing business at the level that we're doing now, but without the truck drivers? Well, they go to automation, right? Like they say, oh, okay, well, here's this company that's willing to, sign a contract with us, and they're going to automate our trucking industry. So let's say those truck drivers finally buckle, and they say, okay, you know what? We just want to go back to work. We got families to feed. we got work to do. Let us come back to work. What happens then? There are no jobs for those people. The American people are literally asking for their jobs to be taken away, which in the end, to be honest with you, isn't the worst thing. If UBI exists. Americans, people across the globe are tired, exhausted, have worked their fucking asses off, and deserve an extra day off, a 4-day work week. But right now, they're being lied to, and they're just eating it up, that by bringing all this back or just getting through this hard time, you just got to get through this little bit of a hard time and then everything's going to be okay. Look, the reason that it was a fucking miracle, the reason that we can tout Joe Biden's job numbers, his unemployment number, people go, well, yeah, of course. His numbers, he added that many jobs because of COVID. The reason that that's impressive is because A, that means that all those businesses didn't go under. And B, it means that he did not do things or did not allow things to move in a manner to where those people were replaced. And some of those people were replaced with automation. Like I said, go into a car factory nowadays. We cannot discount what's going to happen when you bring all of this automation in. And Andrew Yang said this. I keep saying this. I'm like, I don't understand what people's hate for Andrew Yang was. The dude tried to tell everybody that truck drivers are going to lose their fucking job and we should have UBI to deal with that. And everybody shit on the dude. I don't even understand that. Maybe you guys know something about him. I don't. But all I heard was the dude saying truck drivers are going to lose their jobs and we need to talk about UBI, and everybody shit on that dude. Well, guess what the fuck is happening? And like I said, I don't have a problem with automation, but you can't leave people out in the cold. You can't bring back industry to America and then replace it with a bunch of fucking robots. And then all of these people, what are they going to do? So we need a social safety net for that.
Which is a ginormous potential market, addressable market.
It's a $50 trillion industry that wants to grow.
Okay, so he's claiming $50 trillion industry that wants to grow. We're talking about robotics. Kakis Maximus, which is Elon Musk's new name, I guess, on Twitter. He tweeted this out on May 19th, right? And basically, they're partnering up. You got NVIDIA pumping up this stuff. Elon Musk pumping up this stuff, and that's who Trump is partnering with.
Micron.
Again, it's robotics, and they're claiming they don't have enough workers. And it is obviously a contradiction to what Trump has been promising you, that you're going to get all your factory jobs back. These guys basically
that's what I'm saying
with robots. I just want to make sure it's clear.
What's up, Unknown?
Not enough people call this stuff out. This is the headlines of the article here. NVIDIA's flattery of Trump.
Super Saint. The YouTube started putting in more ads on May 12th, just so you guys know.
Trump wins reversal of AI chip limits and Huawei clampdown. So you can see Jensen Huang on the right. There's lots of Saudi people in the picture and other finance and tech bros. This is a picture of Elon Musk and Jensen Huang hanging out in Saudi again.
What up,
We're
DJ?
all kissing up to the Saudis. And remember, Trump was promising you trillions and trillions of Saudi money, Middle Eastern money, I guess, is going to make you all rich. But I just want you to see what the plan is. This is their plan. This is who Trump is partnering with to supposedly give you all these wealth and riches. Let's listen some more.
Now, the amazing thing about human robotics is not just the fact that if it worked, it could be quite versatile. It is likely the only robot that is likely to work. And the reason for that is because technology needs scale. Most of the robotic systems we've had so far are too low volume. And those low volume systems will never achieve the technology scale to get the flywheel going far enough, fast enough, so that we're willing to dedicate enough technology into it to make it better. But human or robot, it is likely to be the next multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Okay, so likely multi-trillion-dollar industry again. These are the people partnering with Trump. And I just want to make it really clear. This is Elon Musk tweeting out Jensen Huang's message. Even Sam Altman, he's the OpenAI dude. He's like, if you question them, like, you must be an idiot, right? Sam Altman says, calls critics of Trump's AI deals with Gulf nations naive. So if you guys don't understand what Trump is doing, partnering with the tech bros, you must be naive. And this is the reality, guys.
Yeah, and You know what I just don't like about that is that, like I said, I don't have any problem with technology advancing. I think that that's inevitable. And my problem is that a lot of blue collar people that voted for Trump because they thought that he was going to make their lives better are going to find out like that the exact opposite is actually true, and that these jobs not only aren't coming back, but the jobs that are here are going to get taken over by the advancements that this administration does make by allowing tech billionaires to create these relationships with like the Saudi bros, right? I keep saying this about this administration, that like all the shitty things that Donald Trump did as a human being, like I don't think any of that's good, but obviously I can accept that human beings are shitty. I think the thing that drives me the most nuts is just that people continue to get lied to and gaslit by this administration about things going back to being some type of great time that didn't exist, at least not during the time period that Trump references, and watching people just, defend it. You're defending not only them taking your job, but actually eliminating that job, which is like ironic because the whole reason you voted for the dude was because you were scared that human beings were taking your job. And the reality is that AI continues to be more prevalent in every single fucking industry. I mean, one day I probably won't be on here, right? Because AI will take over the YouTube industry very quickly. There's lots of AI videos already, and it's just going to get more and more prevalent until people don't want to see human beings anymore. It's the gaslighting that gets to me. It's what made me like just feel exhausted about trying to talk to these people, where it's like, I don't hate you. I don't want to see you do bad, even if I greatly disagree with your politics. As long as you're not a shitty human being. I mean, if you're a racist, you're a homophobe, I got no time for you. But if you just like got gaslit, sorry, you got gaslit and thought that, you were blue collar, you're poor, you thought that, you're going to get your job back in the auto industry, or that the town that you live in, you look at some of these American towns, shuttered factories and stuff like that. Like, I get why people like that, like, are desperate. Sorry. I get why they want more, why they voted thinking that they were going to get something more. Because they got lied to. They got gaslit. What I don't understand is when you clearly point out the irony of investing, $500 billion in Saudi Arabia to bring AI back over there, and these people still like defend him. Uh-oh. Oh, allergies are killing me. Oh, these allergies are killing me. I'm gonna need a moment. God damn it. Can it just be summer already? All right. I'm gonna stop talking.
I get it. I make jokes about this stuff, but I get it. If you watch YouTube, it's filled with a bunch of young dudes who worship the tech bros, and they say, wow, tech bros must know everything. They're so smart. And all I have to do is just show you what they say. And I just want you guys in our community to tell me your opinions on this stuff, because I think for us elder folks who have essentially seen the song and dance before, who've seen the, you could call it the P.T. Barnum, you could call it the circus clowns.
What's up, Ben?
Come out and pitch you all this stuff.
What's up,
it
Michelle?
reminds me of the Segway. If you guys remember the Segway thing, that's that
What's up, Luck?
little wheeled thing that you're supposed to stand on, and I guess that's going to revolutionize transportation, and that was all the hype. Humanoid robots, I guess, right now is the hype, and if you want to get that sweet investments from Trump as they bring in all this bullshit money, I guess that's what we're pumping up
Currently
these days.
on the Flonase.
I just want to point out what it is.
OpenAI
CEO, this is what Sam Altman says. He says, quote, "This was extremely smart for you all to do, and I'm sorry naive people are giving you grief." So I guess that's on Trump's trip to the Middle East. So we're all naive if we don't understand the genius of all this AI and humanoid robots. This is now also, because I want you to see that everyone's in on this, I guess. Microsoft, the CEO, and Elon Musk is here also. What are they saying?
The Windows and the kinds of things you build.
Yeah, well, actually it started before Windows with
And I just want to point this out. It was interesting when they introduced Elon Musk. This is like some sort of Microsoft developer conference thing. They introduced Elon Musk as being an ex-AI person, which I thought was interesting. So I think, in my opinion, this is signaling that Elon Musk is kind of moving away from Tesla. And
yeah, Tesla doesn't matter to him anymore. Everything, I can't say this enough. Everything right now, the focal point of everything right now is AI. And we really have a choice of going down one path or the other. And one path is the techno-oligarch, techno-feudalism route of all of us ordinary people just being the fodder for these techno-oligarchs to help forward their AI systems to do whatever weird shit that they probably want to do with them. Or the other route is that the middle class, that the lower 95% of America and the rest of the world band together and say, we're not going to let you make us your slaves. It feels like there's this moment right now. You know, it's like it just needs a catalyst. It needs somebody or something to bring together the mass of people that are going to be taken advantage of because of these people's, their narcissism, their want for authoritarianism, whatever it is. But that's where we're at.
More off to do other things. But we've known that for a while. I just want to point that out. That's how they're titling him.
DOS. I had one of the early IBM PCs with MS-DOS.
And they're talking about, PCs and stuff like that. Elon Musk is also tweeting out that the Associated Press, so if you call basically people who call out their BS, I guess it's all propaganda. That's according to Elon Musk. And again, I just have to show you what they say. And I want to get your guys' opinions in the comments as well, because honestly, guys, I told you before, YouTube is filled with a bunch of people who worship the tech bros. But again, this is their plan. Their plan is we're going to take all this money, we're supposedly going to build this AI and robots, and then suddenly I guess you're all going to be rich. And if you understand what we're talking about here, remember the AI and the robots is designed to replace you. And it's ironic because I've said this for a long time.
As long as there's rich people, there'll always be slaves. It's just you a slave of a different name. That's all it is. The yoke is different. That's all it is. You ain't wearing iron chains anymore. You're wearing technological chains, cyber chains.
During the election, if you guys follow my channel, you'll know this. Is I remember Trump is promising you all of your factory jobs back, but yet he's parting with people who are literally saying, "Oh, well, you don't have enough factory."
I love Tesla.
That part is a bit of a contradiction when you have all these people saying they want their factory jobs, I guess, according to Trump, and then they're going to replace you with AI and robots. However, not everyone is necessarily on board the Elon Musk and Tesla train. This says billionaire fund manager unloads $600 million of Tesla stock. We also have this. Then these are two different fund managers. I want to make this clear. That was one that was unloading. This is another one. Tesla stock. Ross Gerber says he'll keep dumping TSLA amid latest rally. The reason he gives is full self-driving doesn't work. That's basically Elon Musk's robot car stuff. People aren't buying Teslas. That's number two. I love Tesla. Tesla faces competition.
Yeah, the only way, I was listening to people talk about this, the only way that self-driving is actually like 100% good for like day-to-day use is if the Internet of Things, right? So the Internet of Things is where appliances can talk to each other, your phone, anything with like a semiconductor chip that can like talk to each other. Like right now, if you go through like toll booths and stuff like that, it would be the idea that like your car being registered would, talk to a toll booth and tell it like you're going through, so it deduct from your account or whatever. It would be that every car would be able to communicate with each car. So you'd have to have nothing but cars you couldn't have old cars. You'd have to have all cars that are updated with this system. And then you would need sensors throughout the road. So they'd have to rebuild the road system, or they'd have to find a way to work on the roads. It's not rebuild it. And then you couldn't have it throughout the world. It'd only be in like countries like America, which would be weird because we have zero infrastructure. Not zero, but like 10% infrastructure compared to other places. So I'd say places like China probably be like the first places to really have like self-driving vehicles, because your car would need to be able to communicate with other cars. It would need to communicate with the road. So it's something in the future, but it's not something that can be done like right now.
Stiff competition, in fact. I think when you put this stuff together, and I want you to understand how the NVIDIA CEO, Tesla CEO, or Elon Musk, however you want to call these people, or even Microsoft, how they all kind of have the same interests, is remember that their goal is to always convince you that there's going to be growth forever, right? That there's infinite growth in a finite world. And if their companies, make chips and they make cars and stuff like that, they have to convince you that everyone's going to buy their cars forever, and we're all going to
never going to tell you anything
and a new
negative
chip and a new whatever every single year. That's their goal. They're salespeople, and it's a very different than just your average Joe on the streets point of view of like just tell me the truth. Don't always be selling me something. And I understand it, guys. I totally get it, because if you turn on any sort of people on TV and they all work on Wall Street and they just tell you, oh yes, the future is going to be AI and in crypto and
yeah, we just want to be sold hope.
Humanoid robots, this kind of stuff. That's what they're promising you. I want to make this clear, though. Not everyone necessarily buys into it. Warren Buffett, right? He doesn't buy into this stuff. He doesn't invest in.
And that's why I love Warren Buffett. Like Warren Buffett's like I said, there is a way to be wealthy and still be like a morally good human being. We just for some reason always support the worst people in our society. It's like we're addicted. And when I say we, I want you guys to understand, I'm saying that in the royal sense. I don't support these people. I know you guys don't support these people. But when I say we, I mean human beings. We always support like the dramatic. We want things to be fun. We want it to be exciting. We want to hear the tea, like, so we support these billionaires that are assholes. And we don't specifically hate the ones that aren't assholes. We just don't care. So it's like you end up in this like conundrum of you want to watch the train wreck and the craziness of people like Elon Musk, but somebody like Warren Buffett, super boring, and so you don't give two shits about him. So at no point do they receive any type of like positive incentive to be that good, morally good human being. You just have to hope that intrinsically, they are good, moral people and they stay that route. Like, I mean, people say it about Elon all the time, right? Like, they're like, he used to talk about climate change and do all these things, yada, yada, yada. And it's because intrinsically he wasn't actually a good human being morally. He wanted people to like him, and so he's doing what he thought was popular at the time. And when those people didn't like didn't like him, they liked what he's doing, didn't like him, he immediately turned heel because he saw how easy it was to get, love from these people that are fucking hurt people.
And this stuff. And it is a massive bubble, in my opinion.
Yeah, are you not entertained?
I
exactly.
See what they say.
Yeah, JB.
Let's watch a little bit more, and you'll get a sense of it as well.
No, it's wonderful. I mean, even the last time I chatted with you, you were talking all about everything, the intricacies of Active Directory, and so it's fantastic to have you at our developer conference. Obviously, the exciting thing for us is to be able to launch Grok on Azure. I know you have a deep vision for what AI.
That was kind of the big news today. Also, is essentially Elon Musk is partnering with Microsoft. So I guess if you're on Azure, and I'm not sure if Microsoft Teams is going to integrate Elon Musk technology, but that's what's up. And Elon Musk is smiling, of course. And how long will this go? That's just the question I'm talking about here.
I bet it goes nowhere.
I mean, if you look at Elon Musk's last sort of product launch, the big Cybertruck thing, you guys remember this. Now I guess they're accepting trade-ins on this thing. And before, Elon Musk was bragging that they had 1 million pre-orders or reservations. If I remember correctly, to make a reservation on the Cybertruck, you just had to put it down like $100. It was like it wasn't much. So anyone in their brothers and sisters could easily do that. But they only ended up selling 40,000
thank you for the 10 memberships,
meaning that their over the top
thank you, man.
Reservation numbers didn't come nearly
those Cybertrucks are hideous.
Reality set in. Right. And this is, in my opinion, again, what I think is going to happen with the AI and the robot stuff. All wonderful investments and all these, great promises of what was it, 50 trillion.
Yeah, because the reality is that all of these people aren't good. They're just good at conning people. Like, in reality, one of the saddest parts about what is actually happening, I go back to, who is it? Alan Moore, I think is the quote. Alan Moore. Let's see if we can just find this Alan Moore quote real quick. I always say this, and then I know I'm messing it up. The world is rudderless. So this is one of my favorite quotes. It's probably my favorite quote. The main thing that I learned about conspiracy theory is that conspiracy theorists believe in a conspiracy because that is more comforting. The truth of the world is that it is actually chaotic. The truth is that it is not the Illuminati or the Jewish banking conspiracy or the gray alien theory. The truth is far more frightening. Nobody is in control. The world is rudderless. That's what we do. We tell ourselves, if you're a Trump supporter, you tell yourself he knows what he's doing. You tell yourself that he's not going insane. Everything he's doing, it has a reason. You tell yourself, no, he's just trolling. You tell yourself, nah, he's making jokes about running for a third term. And then when he does run for a third term after some congressman gets some amendment passed, then you say, well, because it's the right thing to do. He's always had a plan. And the reality is these are con men. They don't believe their own bullshit, but you do. And when they get to that point where they're successful at something, they come out and they claim, man, I knew it was going to happen the whole time. And when they fail at something, they blame somebody. They play the victim. They act like it's somebody else's fault. All of these people, Elon Musk, he ain't nothing special, man. He's just a dude that's gotten good at buying companies because he already had a hand up that you never had. There are some legitimately intelligent, amazing people in this world, but most of them fly under the radar. Most of them no one will ever know about. You know why? Because they're not interested in conning you. They're interested in making this life fruitful. They're interested in leading a life that was worth living. The people that are most out there, that want you to make them the leader the most, that want you to not just respect them, but to worship them, those people aren't smart. They're nothing special. They're just con men.
$1 billion markets for robots and stuff like that. I don't think it necessarily is going to come into play because the big problem is that there's many problems with this, but one is, okay, so if we replace all of the people with robots and AI and stuff like that, what are the people going to do? And if we replace all the people, where's all of the tax revenues going to go to sort of keep our system going, right? Because you're not going to be paying taxes anymore, and so you're not going to have a job either. The system doesn't make sense to me, to be perfectly frank. If we place everyone in robots, how do we function? I guess according to Elon Musk, and I've showed you guys before on the channel, the sort of message that he puts off or puts out there is a better way to say it, is we're going to have unlimited production and unlimited wealth. He used the word unlimited quite a bit. And I know for people who are fans of Musk, their sort of point of view is wow, my dream is just to lay on the couch all day, play video games, and have all the robots do the work for me. That's literally the...
And the funny thing about that is that why can't people ever observe balance, man? One of the problems that we have is that we don't have enough purpose in life. We are legitimately overworked. People are. They're exhausted. There's way too much information that they're just being fed just constantly all the fucking time. You get off work where you're not even that happy at your job. You go home to listen to other people talk about how they're not really that happy in news articles or TikToks or memes or whatever else it is. And so you kind of go too far one way or the other, right? And currently, people are going too far towards the one side, and they think they see a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Oh, it's going to be Ready Player One, dog. I'm going to strap on the fucking glasses. I'm going to get to live and like just play video games, and I don't have to ever worry about anything going on. Like it's going to just all, like that's not really actually a life. I'm a game player, right? I've been playing video games my whole life. You need both. I've said this before. If I ever made enough money off this channel to do like just like stay on here and do politics and research stuff and really educate myself to everything, I'd still want to do my normal job. I just cut my hours down a little bit because it's fucking stressful. But because I want to have purpose, because my job gives me purpose, my family gives me purpose, people really have a hard time understanding balance. It's not one or the other. It's a combination of both. We do want to embrace technology. We do want to embrace AI. We do want, having some robots in society doing jobs that people shouldn't have to do. Send the robots into the fucking coal mine, man, not people. But we also want to be rightfully aware of what happens if you are replaced by those robots and you don't have purpose anymore and you don't have any goals in life anymore. And all you live for is, to lack of a better word, for hedonism, for just like enjoying yourself. It's like you got to have some purpose. You got to have some reason to be here. Because playing video games all your life ain't going to be it. You ain't going to be dying on your deathbed looking up and being like, man, I was level 100 and I was the first in a guild that was the first to get that boss down. That's why my life was good. Like, no, it's connection with other people, man. It's helping other people. It's feeling like you have a purpose with the community, that you did something that matters. My kids make me feel like all of that purpose, right? And not everybody wants to have children. So, like, you got to find it somewhere else. You got to find, like, my kid wants to be a marine biologist because she wants to help. She wants to do something for animals in the ocean. Like, that's purpose. You want to lay on your deathbed going, like, I'm the one that kept that, species of shark from going extinct, or I was involved in the effort to make sure it didn't happen. You got to have something. You got to have balance.
The world, and I understand, maybe, I don't know, 2,000 years in the future, we'll have that sort of world, I guess. But, is it going to happen anytime soon? We're all going to be laying on our couches getting rich while the robots do all the work. I mean, we're still a long ways away from that. And, remember, though, Elon Musk and his bros are all salespeople out to get your money effectively by telling you all these hopes and dreams. So let's watch some more. You can see.
It's trying to reason from first principles, so apply kind of the tools of physics to thinking. If you're trying to get to fundamental truths, you boil things down to the axiomatic elements that are most likely to be correct.
Basically, he talks like that all the time.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of sort of like dorm roomy stuff that's supposed to sound smart. And if you're not an engineer and if you don't have critical thinking skills, you just think, wow, Elon's rich. Even though I don't understand a word that he's saying, he must be awesome. But the point is, though, is actually the stuff that he says doesn't make a lot of sense. None of this stuff does.
Yeah, here you go. It's the tech version of this. They should make a tech version of this. Here you guys go. This is a bot that does this. This is well before AI, guys. Today's science tells us that the essence of nature is intuition. The goal of frequencies is to plant the seeds of intention rather than ego. We dream, we believe, we are reborn. The galaxy is approaching a tipping point. Throughout history, humans have been interacting with the nexus via expanding wave functions. Our conversations with other entities have led to a summoning of hyper-primordial consciousness. Reality has always been radiating dreamweavers whose third eyes are enveloped in purpose. It's very much like That's what he does. The same reason that like QAnon will use words like quantum. Like they'll try to involve like quantum physics in their conspiracy theories because it makes them
and you have to remember the people who are the biggest supporters of Elon Musk are, say, politicians
or
people on Wall Street who are, into the finance part of it. And what's the finance, person's job is to make money.
PhD
and they make money by selling you hopes and dreams, right? And hey, if people believe in Elon, I guess why not? This is another article here.
Sounds
Microsoft's
like
partnership with Elon Musk Grok AI isn't a feature; it's a liability. Basically, though,
I haven't seen the MTG argument with
he was
Grok.
promoting a bunch of basically Nazi kind of stuff, and on his platform, and then his Grok AI. No matter what you would ask it, it would start talking about how white people are being persecuted in South Africa for real. and Elon Musk claims it was a rogue employee who caused that thing. On top of that, this was a really interesting one, which we've kind of known before, but it's always good to get other people's opinions on this stuff. I'll read the headline here, just coming out May 19th, 2025. Ex-FBI agent, Elon Musk's drug habit made him an easy target for Russian spies.
I love Tesla. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
And the quote is here,
God damn it,
Musk's susceptibility to promiscuous women and drug use, in particular ketamine,
oh
and his
my God, dude.
gravitation towards club life
We're
would
so
have
cooked.
Been seen by Russian intelligence service as an easy point
It's like
for an
legalized comedy.
After studying their psychological profile and find a way to bump into them and quickly brought into their inner circle. So basically, Musk is vulnerable to all kinds of foreign influences. We've known this stuff already, but I just wanted to say that there's another person calling it out. Because there's a lot of worries with this stuff. For me, this whole thing is pretty obvious that these guys are full of hot air. But to a lot of people, they fall for it, right? They just think, wow, Musk is so awesome. But again, just listen to the word for yourself.
In physics, if you violate conservation of energy or momentum, then you're either going to get a Nobel Prize or you're wrong, and you're certainly wrong, basically. So the best, really, the focus of Grok 3.5 is sort of fundamentals of physics and applying physics tools across all lines of reasoning, and to aspire to truth with minimal error. Like
P word. P word is female genitalia.
There's always going to be some mistakes that are made, but we aim to
And it's just laughable. The dude who spreads the most information in the world is like talking about, oh yeah, we're developing this AI.
It's like
built on
legalized comedy.
You understand that the clear contradiction in this stuff. It's just laughable, and it's sad and laughable at the same time. I mean, I'll just be frank with you because I just have to make it so clear as I possibly can. This is who Trump is partnering with, so that you.
I love Tesla.
Jobs. Remember, what they're doing is they're building factories in AI to replace you with a bunch of robots. Here's some more.
Cracking the physics of intelligence is perhaps the real goal for us to be able to use AI at scale. And so it's so good to take that first principles approach that you and your team are taking.
They're using AI at scale, right? Replacing everyone. That's what we're talking about here. And I wish more people would call it out. I think instead, you just have. Well, this is just a reality. I mean, the big money supports this stuff, and the big money's out there giving these messages.
Where everything's going.
You're rich with AI, but like,
I love the poorly educated.
To replace you, I'm not making stuff up. Be it your customer service job.
Who gave us up for? What do I hear?
Whatever sort of job that I guess requires coding or processing or any kind of number sets or whatever. There's any number of use purposes. I guess writing. I guess theoretically,
physics tools.
They're going to come up with all these things. Or driving, an example of Elon Musk. And if you don't know, like, I'll just give you an example of driving. Let's just pretend. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say the AI stuff works. So that means every driver in the world loses their job, basically.
Yeah.
Right? And there's lots of different drivers out there. Be it delivery drivers, be it taxi drivers, be it people, and I'm not trying to say cars, let's say people who fly planes. Or,
the craziest part about that too, so I was thinking about this the other day, is that middle class people will once again eat each other. It's just another situation where the middle class will eat itself. Because let's say auto driving cars become a thing. All driving jobs, truckers, everybody, right? Everybody loses their job because now robots and AI are driving the cars. The most intelligent thing that we could do as a society would be to give them UBI, to give them social safety nets, to maybe encourage them to go to school and learn a different trade by giving them grants and giving them loans and stuff. And what we would do was a good proportion of our society would actually get mad. They go, well, that's not fair. Why do I have to keep working at McDonald's while this guy gets to freeload off of me? So then you would see a bunch of people go broke, become homeless, become criminals, to continue to be a burden on the middle class, because nothing's ever actually a burden on the wealthy. You would see, once again, the middle class eat the middle class, because they wouldn't blame billionaires. They wouldn't say, wow, this is fucked up. You guys did this thing and all these people lost their job. No, they would immediately turn inwardly and be like, how does this affect me? And why is it so fucked up? So it's like, it's one of these things that not only is it going to be bad in the way that we see, but it's also going to be really bad in ways that we don't see. And that's why I like what Chris Norlund is doing here, is because the way we learn about these things is by talking to each other, by having conversations about these things that will help, bring up more and more ideas as to what could go wrong. So hopefully you can solve them before they happen.
Sail boats, drive boats, etc. Any number of transportation or trains. It just
yeah. There's Waymo. I think is what you're saying right on.
It's designed to replace you. I
am unburdening you, super.
And it just makes me feel sad that the biggest supporters of this stuff are the people who are going to get replaced first, is what I feel like. Even if the stuff works, which I don't think it does to the extent that they're promising you. Let's listen to more here.
It's incredibly important for an AI model to be grounded in reality. Reality, I was saying, which is like physics is the law and everything else is a recommendation. Which is, I'm not suggesting people break the laws made by
okay,
humans.
So that's Elon Musk talking about reality, but I want to hear what your reality is. What do you think about this whole thing that we've been talking about? What do you think about the tech bros, what they're saying, and what do you think about Trump's partnership with them? I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next video.
All right. Don't forget to go like Chris Norlund. Don't forget to subscribe to his video. Oh, wait. Why is this the Daily Beast? That's what we want right there. Here you guys go. Man. Like, what I'm saying is everybody's going to just be distracted by the fucking orange clown while everybody else is doing the actual shit behind the scenes that's going to actually lead to things being not so great. Not so great, Like everybody's...
Oh, look at my African-American over here. Look at him.
Everybody's distracted by this guy.
I love Tesla.
Fucking...
China.
This is who. All right? This is what...
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
This motherfucker is keeping everybody distracted while these fucking billionaire tech bros are like, how do we keep these fuckers working and busy so that they don't realize we're trying to get the fuck off this planet as soon as possible? That's where we're at. Don't forget to go like and subscribe to Chris Norlund. He's dope. Let's watch. Since we're talking about, let's watch Leeja Miller talk about. Curtis Yarvin, the dude people should be fucking pissed off at. Donald Trump's just a big ass orange clown distraction, while billionaire tech bros ready AI to generate them a bunch of feet pictures for them to jerk off to.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way.
Obama.
Hi, you're tuned into Why America. My name's Leeja Miller. Let's get started. To understand the widespread chaos so far in the Trump administration, you need to know about the names, faces, and ideologies of the people behind the scenes pulling the strings. So today, I'm going to try to when
I was saying that at the beginning, that they have that TikTok thing going on where they're saying, like, somebody needs to do it. somebody needs to do it. They're saying that shit over and over again. The thing that like people aren't understanding is that it's not Trump that's dangerous. It's the ideology that's dangerous. So no matter what happens with Trump, if Trump has a Big Mac-induced heart attack next week, if Donald Trump contracts Ebola in his dick next week, dies in the most horrific way possible, that is not going to change much. Like, not as much as people think, right? They think everything's going to be good. Like, oh, that's it. Like, we won. No, you didn't. He's just a symptom of the disease. He's not the disease, man. He's just a symptom. People give that motherfucker way too much credit. Like, he's just a symptom of a much bigger problem in not just America. Well, it does seem as though it's mostly just America, actually. The other countries seem to be voting for the other shit. So I keep saying not just America, but I think it might just be America, actually. But he's just a symptom, right? If J.D. Vance becomes the president, he's actually scarier than Donald Trump is, because J.D. Vance can put a fucking smile on and say shit and get people to agree with him in a much different way, much more important people. Once they don't need the blue-collar people anymore, Donald Trump said it, I don't need your vote no more. Just vote for me this time. I won't ever need your vote again. He knew what he was fucking talking about. You know who needs that vote now? J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is going to speak to the right people. He's going to speak to conservatives that are like, woo, at least he's not Donald Trump anymore. Like, that dude is way more dangerous. Stephen Miller, dangerous. Homan, dangerous. Curtis Yarvin, dangerous. Mark Andreessen, dangerous. All of these people are much more dangerous because when you put the gun in their hand, they know how to shoot it and they know who they're shooting at. When you put it in Donald Trump's hand, he just fucking, what was it? Yosemite Sam. He's just Yosemite Sam out there. Fucking, when people get taken out, it ain't because he wanted it to happen, but it's not because he meant to do it, okay?
Untangle the dark web of ideologies driving this administration that go way beyond the top-level analysis. It's one thing to look at Doge as a means to save money while handing billionaires some tax cuts, or at Project 2025 as a backlash to progressive ideals, but there is a deeper ideology animating some of the actors that are pulling the strings behind Trump and see him as a convenient CEO figurehead to push through their biggest ideological initiatives. And understanding the underlying theories and beliefs makes everything that's happening much clearer and can help paint a picture for the direction we're headed. Now, before we dive in, let me please preface this by saying that I am in no way insinuating that there's some giant underground cabal of anyone.
Okay, Leeja. See, this is what I'm saying. This is why nobody on the left will approach this shit. Everybody's worried about it being called a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory if the motherfuckers straight up write books about the shit. I mean, like I said, you don't have to be the fucking chemtrail person or the fucking, vaccines have robots in them person. Those people are like fucking doing the Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme. Like fucking this plus this. If you bring the dots together and there's a speech that happened at the same time as syphilis became prevalent in the Black American society, that's what those people are doing. Nah, this ain't a conspiracy theory, dog. They wrote books. Donald Trump said he's going to establish freedom cities. Look, motherfuckers, if they put freedom on the front of anything, it has nothing to do with freedom. Just a fucking quick fucking piece of advice to you guys. If it's called freedom something, it probably does not involve freedom. Oh, Jesus.
And let me please preface and underlying theories and beliefs makes everything that's happening much clearer and can help paint a picture for the direction we're headed. Now, before we dive in, let me please preface this by saying that I am in no way insinuating that there's some giant underground cabal of anyone making master plans to take over the United States and then the world. I think there is scheming happening for sure. I mean, Project 2025 was a major undertaking that brought together literally hundreds of people and organizations, but I'm not here to sow giant underground conspiracy theories. I think it's
not underground, Leeja. It ain't underground, Leeja. See, like I said, this is a problem with the left right here. Okay, I don't want to look crazy, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure everybody knows that I'm not saying that this is actually happening. I'm saying that it could. Yeah, the hope is that fucking democracy wins out and the crazy motherfuckers don't get to turn us into a bunch of fiefdoms around the country. I don't know who's going to be in charge of my fiefdom. Is Gavin Newsom going to be in charge of my fiefdom? Is it going to be Elon Musk? I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of down with the fiefdom thing because, you know, if that shit happens, I'm going to get me a horse and a suit of armor. I already got swords. Fuck it, let's go.
What's going on is the result of a lot of disparate actors who happened to know each other and to be influenced by the fringe thoughts of a few guys with blogs, and they now have the ear of the president and the power to experiment with those ideas. Okay, first, let's break down the theories and the people we're talking about to get a lay of the land. These people and theories have been reported on variously over the last few years, but I still think it's not well enough known. I learned a lot in diving into the research for this episode, so hopefully you will too. Elon Musk is absolutely...
I am the king in my house. You know the funny thing about what you just said, Troy, is that don't look crazy, stop saying the 2024 election was stolen, is that would be me, right? Like, I'm on the other side of that, where I'm like, don't say it was stolen, because I don't like the terminology. And it's a semantic problem with me, right? It's a semantic issue. Is that I think that Republicans took the 4 years that Joe Biden was in office to put in place things like what almost happened in North Carolina with that judge who was duly elected, almost not getting the position because they were using things that they had set up, right? So I actually believe that it's closer to conspiracy to claim that it was stolen, but if you use the right terminology, if you say that the way that Republicans use legislation to keep from people from being able to vote or to inhibit people from voting, I guess that's redundant, it's the same thing, led to Donald Trump being elected. That's more my style. That's more my style. So just to give you a point of me being a hypocrite sometimes, as often happens with everybody, there's one for you.
Tied up in the ideologies underpinning the second Trump administration. And in a bit of a foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about today, I saw this headline from the publication Futurism that says Elon Musk's credibility sinking as he's caught in web of lies. And it's helpful to see in the Ground News browser extension that this publication leans left. So to get a fuller picture of the story, I can click on full coverage. On the Ground News website, I can see that 181 sources are covering this topic. As with
Nah, I don't agree with you, Troy, because even with Trump really wants to say... So this is why Trump says that the election was stolen. Because people around him pointed out how certain things got used so that way he lost, right? Like people around him were like, Democrats are much more likely to mail-in vote. So during COVID... if we wouldn't allowed as many people to vote, because most of those people are older and immunocompromised, that you should have won, sir. And Donald Trump hears that and says to himself, wow, they fucking cheated. They stole that shit from me. And the people around him encourage him to say those words. They cheated and they stole them. And then the people that follow him prefer those words. They like hearing it was stolen. They like hearing that he was cheated because they don't like logic. They don't want to hear that the reason that he lost was potentially because if we wouldn't allow people to mail in vote, if we wouldn't allow all these older immunocompromised people to go to send in their votes, they don't like to think through that situation and come to a conclusion. They want to be told just straight out, blunt as fucking possible, this shit was stolen. I was cheated. So the reason I don't agree with what you're saying is just because I just don't like the fact that people are being manipulated by a con man that either doesn't know that he's doing this, which I think would be bullshit, or does know, and that makes him a really fucking shitty person. Like that's where I disagree.
These ideas we're talking about today and Elon Musk himself, coverage of these types of stories is going to vary wildly depending on the bias of the publication you're reading. For example, left-leaning HuffPost uses the headline, "Musk wants to harm OpenAI because he can't stand its success without him. Lawsuit." While
See, that's what I'm saying, Troy. You're Trump supporting it up right now, brother. You're saying Biden got all that votes for real, Biden. Just because you don't think it's possible doesn't mean it isn't possible. Joe Biden appealed to Americans for multitudes of reasons. Joe Biden fucking did well against Donald Trump in those debates in 2020. He actually did very well in those debates. And more importantly was that he came off as just a sane and logical person during a time we were entering a pandemic. People wanted a more logical leader. I've said this before. I've claimed that Donald Trump, people voted for Trump because they wanted to shake up the system. They wanted to drain the swamp. They wanted somebody different, somebody new, somebody that lied to him, told him that he wasn't a politician. And so they voted for Trump. Now, in Trump, what they got was a crazy ex-girlfriend. They got a crazy girlfriend that fucking burned down your house, keyed your car, and stole your cat. Probably burned down your cat, too. And then what happened in 2020 is that old girl that you had been with that was nice to you, that your mom liked, came along and was like, I was hoping to hook back up. And you were like, you know what? I am tired of crazy ass Nancy. Okay? Actually, let's hang out. And then for 4 fucking years, they got the treatment of being with a nice, solid, responsible woman. And they thought to themselves, you know, I might get syphilis, but let's give it one more shot. And now we're back with the crazy ex-girlfriend. So when you say, Joe Biden got all those votes, that's Trump tardation. The idea that something can't possibly happen. Why? Because in my head, I've decided, no, it's not possible. That there's a lot of shit in life that I think isn't possible, that I've watched happen, and I went, well, guess that was fucking possible. I thought for sure people couldn't be stupid enough to vote for Trump again in 2024. I went, looks like it's possible.
Right-leaning the Epoch Times uses the headline, OpenAI countersues Musk over alleged.
Troy, how many people do you think chose not to vote for Kamala Harris over the Israel-Palestine conflict? How many Muslim Americans do you think there are in Pennsylvania and Michigan? I literally called that shit before it happened. I was telling people on this channel, if Detroit votes red, I will never say another good thing about Cecil Fielder or Barry Sanders ever again in my life. And that's hurtful for me because I love those men. That's what I'm saying is you try to boil it down into this reductionism that just drives me fucking nuts. And that's why I don't like debating with people, is because there are multitudes of ways that it can be explained why there was a difference between how many votes Biden got and how many votes Kamala Harris got. It's a completely different fucking reality. You're going into a pandemic with a fucking nuts dude that clearly was doing some dumb shit at the time that benefited Biden, and Biden came out of his presidency having skimmed across the surface of a recession, leading an economy that was good for wealthy people, for upper middle class people, but bad for lower middle class people during a war that was, in most people's opinions, in those states, morally unjustified. This idea is like, you can't explain how she had way less votes than Biden. I'm sorry, dog, but that's tarded. But it's okay. Don't worry, all right?
My first wife was tarded. She's a pilot now.
It's okay. You still have a future, Troy.
Harassment. Depending on where you get your news, you're going to get very different takes on the same story. And if you only pay attention to one side or the other, you might miss the full picture. This is where Ground News comes in and why I've been using them for over a year. Today's partner, Ground News, is an app and website that offers tools to help you critically analyze the news,
why am I listening
providing
to a commercial?
context to understand the full picture. By using proportionally covering the story. I'm not the only one who loves Ground News. The Nobel Peace Center view and more. Subscribe through this access just mentioned. It means to be disenchanted with theory, dark enlightenment to all of the features that I just mentioned. Thanks, Ground News. First theory, dark enlightenment. To be enlightened, but make it dark. It means to be disenchanted with everything.
Actually, I think she's wrong about that. She, when I read about the dark enlightenment, now maybe she probably knows more about the subject than I do, but as I understood it, it was that we want to get away from the ideals of the Enlightenment. And by the way, just so you guys know, okay, I do know a little something, okay? A little something about the Enlightenment period, as Steven Pinker likes to talk about it in his book, Enlightenment Now. But I thought that the idea of the Dark Enlightenment was to get away from the ideas of the Enlightenment back to rationalization, back to logical thought, going away from those things. Because the Enlightenment in 1800 was considered the time when we embraced science, when we decided that, gay people having sex wasn't what created tornadoes. I thought that the Dark Enlightenment was pushing back to a time of ignorance for middle class and lower middle class people, and keeping the Enlightenment values in the for the wealthy. That's what I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong.
Basically, to trust him, to be in love with the features that I just mentioned. Thanks, Ground News. First theory, dark enlightenment. To be enlightened, but make it dark. It means to be disenchanted with everything. Basically, to trust and believe in nothing, especially when it comes to truth and information, but also philosophy and government. To be red-pilled, to have had the wool of progressive propaganda pulled from your eyes, so you're above the masses and able to see the world for what it really is. You're
Okay, I hear. Okay, she's probably right. I'm
no longer a sheep following the elite, the intellectuals, the mainstream media, and going along with everything that they say. Neo-reactionary, shortened to NRX, is described variably as the same as Dark Enlightenment, part of the same movement, distinct from it. It's a little unclear. In any event, they're related. NRX criticizes traditional Enlightenment thinking about equality and democracy. Instead, equality and democracy are sowing chaos and making government incredibly inefficient. Liberal democracy is a failed experiment, and equality should not be the desired outcome because it doesn't actually make people's lives better, according to this theory. Prosperity, order, and freedom aren't achieved through individual rights, but through a government able to manage the country efficiently without things like pesky little civil liberties getting in the way. Democracy is a played-out experiment that has proven itself to be very weak. Everyone can agree that politics are bad and populism is bad because decisions should actually be made by experts, which is really a class of people worthy of leading. And so really, aristocracy should be the answer.
Aristocracy.
A country run by people who have been groomed to be great leaders and experts, not subject to the whim of the unwashed masses. Americans are simply too afraid of the word dictator and should in fact be more open-minded that maybe
Yeah, that's Curtis Yarvin. So, and here's the thing, and this is something I think is really important for everybody to think about while when they're listening to a person talk about this. You're gonna have times where you're like, I actually agree with this, or I actually agree with that. That's what makes people like Curtis Yarvin so dangerous, is that if you listen to these interviews that Yarvin does, other than the New York Times one, that one was actually that dude pushed back pretty fucking hard. But these interviews he has a really good way of being like, oh, these are just ideas. They're just ideas. I'm just saying. Everybody thinks that I'm some type of villain. To be honest with you, I could care less what happens. Either we do it or we don't do it. That's like kind of his attitude. And that kind of drags people into this conversation of whether or not they're overreacting or not. And sometimes with these interviewers, they'll push back on him and he'll make it out to be like they're overreacting. And by the end of the interview, they'll kind of be like, well, you have a lot of good ideas. And I think some of your ideas aren't that great. But, hey, this is the world we live in where everybody should have their opinions. I do believe in a form of aristocracy. because I do believe that oftentimes decisions are made by the populace that are against their own interests that potentially would not be made in that manner if we had a better system of voting. I think that that's a slippery slope, and therefore I don't embrace those ideas, because I think that it's better for us to get things wrong and still have the right to vote for everybody than it is to only allow certain people with certain expertise to vote on certain subjects. I think that somewhere in there's got to be a balance, some type of, some kind of decision that's made by people for people and what they think. Like, I mean, that's the idea of having a representative, right? But the representative class has gotten very corrupted by big money. So the idea of our representative democracy that we have is that we say to a person, you embrace the same values as I do, therefore you get to vote on the things that I think are important, and those decisions are made, right? And that's actually a pretty good system, except for we always come back to the same problem in every one of these conversations, and that is that money is always going to be at the root of everything that is wrong with our society. Everything. And if we can't have representatives that, are paid well, have health insurance, everybody should have health insurance. Fuck, just representative. Everybody, right? If we can't have a system where these people aren't influenced by big money lobbyists, then we're never going to have real democracy. And I don't mean pure democracy or direct democracy. I mean democracy where your values are represented by the people that you elect. Because money is always going to be more important to the politician than your opinion is of them, because we vote based off D's and R's. So that's how you can have somebody like Lauren Boebert, who clearly does not represent Republican conservative values, at least not by the word, how they explain them, yet continues to get elected, right? Like, this is an issue, like I said, that I will agree with to some part. So I just want to point that out to people, that there's going to be things that when you hear some of this Dark Enlightenment shit, when you hear some of Curtis Yarvin's stuff, it's a little conflicting, because you'll hear stuff that you go, well, yeah, I agree with that actually. So, but you have to understand what the end goal is of that rhetoric and what they're trying to establish. And once again, that is nothing that is good for you, and it is everything that is good for them.
Maybe they'd like living under a dictatorship. But this isn't your average feudal monarchical system of old. This new form of aristocracy or monarchy or whatever you want to call it should also include running the country like a startup. And so limits to the executive's ability to run the country like a CEO would are actually bad, because it means the government doesn't work as well as it could. The reason the government doesn't work well is because of all these intellectuals and bureaucrats who've bought into the progressive bubble, getting in the way of someone who really knows what he's doing, who can take over and run the place. I mean, if Apple ran California, it would work better for people, because look at all the great products they make. Companies are really just little tiny monarchies if you really think about it, and we're surrounded by amazing stuff made by these amazing little monarchies. I mean, imagine if the government made your laptop. The horror. In fact, the expansion of democracy through things like abolishing slavery and giving everyone the right to vote hasn't really benefited people much. I mean, so many formerly enslaved people suffered when they were set free after the Civil War. The ladies in Jane Austen novels seemed like they were having a great time. The government would simply work better for everyone if we had a CEO running things. Neo-reactionary thinking involves cherry-picking history and facts, whitewashing reality, ignoring the fact that most startups fail, and blindly accepting that capitalist progress is the thing that should be valued above all else, all while calling your...
Yeah, and one thing that people have to be aware of is that when they talk about splitting, because they talk about the president just being a figurehead, right? Like being a monarch. So he's a king and he gets to make certain decisions, but for the most part, those decisions don't influence the nobles that run the rest of the fiefdoms, right? So if Peter Thiel is in charge of California and Donald Trump is the king of America, it sounds so fucking dumb to say, then he can make certain decisions, but Peter Thiel is actually the person running California. So there would be no regulations. When they talk about these forever cities, or California Forever, or Prospera in Honduras, what they're talking about is no regulation through the FDA, no regulation through OSHA, no regulations through the Energy Department. So think about this. I'm pro-nuclear. I am a pro-nuclear person. I believe that nuclear can be done in this day and age with the technology we have and be safer and better for the planet than most of the other things we have. Although green energy is amazing, I think nuclear is the answer. So think about it this way. If they said, with government regulations, we want to put in new nuclear power plants, I'd be like, wow, that sounds great. That's good for California. Now, take away the word regulations and say Peter Thiel now wants to put nuclear facilities all throughout California. He wants to put them in your little town that you live in, right next to the source of water that you drink and use for your children's health. That's fucking scary. As I've said before, sure, is there sometimes too much red tape, specifically for like small businesses, middle-class Americans trying to get houses built? 100%. There's too many regulations on normal people and not enough regulations on fucking ultra-wealthy people. If we were to start allowing these billionaires to do whatever the fuck they want, can you imagine Elon Musk, who literally blows up fucking rockets in the sky and thinks it's fun, putting down nuclear facilities in the state that you live in? Just like all over the fucking place. No, thank you. I'll pass.
Yourself enlightened. And then there's accelerationism, the idea that Western democracy is irreparably corrupt. Participating within the system through things like voting and mass politics is pointless.
What's happening? What's up,
and
Dr.
the best
Don?
way to more quickly move away from these corrupt, inefficient governmental models to accelerate their demise is by creating chaos and political tension as much as possible until it all comes crumbling down. At which point, the rich, white, smart Christians will come out on top, as they are preordained to do. So don't bother voting, but if you do vote, vote for the most extreme candidate, the one that will bring it all down faster. But really, violence is the ultimate answer. Accelerationist ideals are frequently cited by especially white nationalist mass shooters and terrorists as the source of their ideology and the reasoning behind their violence.
And accelerationism is scary because, so when people talk about, like, what do you do right now? Is an armed revolution on the table? Well, that plays into the hands of accelerationism, right? There are definitely times right now in this administration that I feel as though people are being set up. That if you fall for the bait and do the thing, what just happened with that Free Palestine kid in fucking New Jersey, right? First of all, that's a goddamn tragedy. Those people had you ain't fighting. You want to fight a war, then go over to fucking Gaza and join up, dog. Taking out people at the, what is it, Museum of Jewish History or whatever. Like, that shit ain't right. But that person played right into the hands of the conservative right. He played right into the hands of the very people that want to make his side look like savages, look like they're crazy. And he's giving people like Donald Trump the right to be able to create legislation or laws that are going to affect other people that potentially weren't doing what he did, but wanted to be helpful to that cause. And I do think that when we talk about accelerationism, that we're between a rock and a hard place, because these people do want, in my opinion, to rip the Band-Aid off, get the government burnt to the fucking ground, and then start rebuilding shit in the manner that they want to do it. And so everybody has to be very careful about still being logically thinking human beings that don't allow your own emotions and passions to be used against you. So that way they can then take those instances and, for instance, put in place martial law. Because that's going to make things a lot harder. But accelerationism is a really scary part of this. It's just like they may feel that climate change is real. If they want to participate in accelerationism when it comes to climate change and they think it's real, then they might think the best thing to do in this world is to push through a really bad time in the planet's history, get it over with, so that way they can come out the other side. They have all the money, they have all the resources. They have a $21 trillion bunker under the earth. I swear to God. That's one conspiracy I am so deep on. But you know what I'm saying? Like, accelerationism is probably one of the most scary parts of all this. And it's who was it? It was some group that was trying to start a race war. I mean, I know the Mansons did that, but just recently, some group was trying to start a race war. That's accelerationism. That's that they believe that eventually it's going to end in a race war, and so they're trying to jumpstart it by doing shit that would come off as that.
Reactionism grew out of early accelerationism. As Vox describes the belief, quote, egalitarian and democratic policies described as progressive by left liberals are in fact a way of slowing down the only progress we're having, acceleration toward techno-capitalist singularity. Neo-reaction is a version of accelerationism adapted to address this problem. So with each of these intertwined ideologies, dark enlightenment, neo-reactionism, and accelerationism, the underlying through line is anti-democratic, anti-egalitarian, and in favor of technological advancement above all else, wherein the individual matters less than the overall progress towards financial growth spurred on by technological advancement. Voting rights and DEI and wokeism and bureaucrats following rules get in the way of progress when the central idea of progress revolves around how to use computers to make as much money as possible. And so having a single autocratic ruler who is a genius and doesn't have to abide by the sticky, slow norms required by democracy is better for everyone. Because in this world, everyone benefits from this techno progress. If a few individuals...
Once again, just to be clear, they're not talking about Trump being the leader. They're talking about individual leaders of each state or territory. Trump, we've read that a million times, where it says in Curtis Yarvin's Butterfly Revolution on his Gray Mirror Substack that Trump would just be a figurehead, somebody that makes speeches, keeps the populace in line by going to events and telling shitty jokes about people. Meanwhile, the country would be ran by the CEOs that run their fiefdoms, pretty much.
Individuals, meaning 99% of the population, have to, have zero say in the functioning of their society, experience daily racism or sexism, and live in constant fear of an autocratic government that doesn't allow dissent, and enjoy zero of the riches that their daily labor creates, so be it. It's for the good of mankind. And some of the more important quote-unquote philosophers of these ideologies have largely flown under the radar until recently. Those names include Nick Land, a former professor of philosophy from England, who is seen as the originator of the modern right-wing accelerationist philosophy. He was originally associated with the University of Warwick, but when his philosophy started really flying off the hinges, he and his associated group of faculty members, known as the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit, or CCRU, split from the university in 1998 and moved into, a house formerly owned by a prominent British Satanist, where the group took copious amounts of amphetamines and scribbled diagrams all over the walls. In his own book, Nick Land admits that, quote, after perhaps a year of fanatical abuse of amphetamines, I was, by any reasonable standard, profoundly insane.
Don't worry, guys. This is the guy you guys should totally follow. 100%, man. This guy has great ideas. Holy shit, we're in so much trouble.
I love the poorly educated.
But yeah, go off, King. After his self-described mental breakdown, Land moved to China, where he worked as a journalist and deeply admired the Chinese regime's accomplishments and leaders. By the 2010s, he had made contact and began working with the purported godfather of dark enlightenment and neo-reactionism, Curtis Yarvin.
Bam!
Yarvin is a 50-something blogger who makes his living mostly from spewing academic-sounding blather on his Substack. He hates elites and intellectuals while also declaring himself an intellectual. He went to Brown University for undergrad, graduating in 1992, and then got a year and a half into a computer science PhD program at Berkeley before dropping out to work for a tech company. He went on to found a computer platform called Yarvin in 2002, and getting embedded into the early Silicon Valley libertarian tech community seemed to really radicalize the young Curtis. He began blogging in 2007, pontificating on his dark Enlightenment neo-reactionary theories to a fringe audience. In 2013, he expanded the work of his company Yarvin through a company he co-founded thanks to venture capital funding from none other than
Peter Thiel.
Bam! With whom he reportedly watched the 2016 election results roll in, and whom he has described as fully enlightened. Peter Thiel is also the tech billionaire who helped fund ventures J.D. Vance was involved with before throwing his hat in the political ring. J.D. Vance has cited to Yarvin approvingly on various podcast appearances. Peter Thiel is also closely connected to Elon Musk, with whom he worked on PayPal in the early 2000s.
Yep, PayPal Mafia.
And of course, the Silicon Valley billionaires love Yarvin because his argument is democracy is weak, and that's why there are unpopular policies like mass immigration, for example, that persist despite people not liking them. And then he turns the blame for the ills of society on democracy and says, actually, if we have a few powerful people take over, then everything would be better.
Yep.
As opposed to the reality, which is that incredibly unpopular
they don't want you to have a voice.
Persist because our current democracy is overrun by moneyed interests. And so our elected officials aren't answerable to us. They're answerable to the 1%. And this has been studied. In Yarvin's camp, the answer to this corruption isn't to try to move more towards democratic ideals by, I don't know, banning billionaires from government, but instead to do away with democracy altogether. And so Curtis Yarvin, through his learned mannerisms and ability to make the asinine sound profound by calling him...
There you go. See, that she hit it on the head. Good job, Leeja. This is why I love Leeja, man. What she just said is what I just said earlier, is like, you listen, go ahead, go listen to some Curtis Yarvin. Can you go take a listen to Curtis Yarvin in an interview? This one right here. He talks in a way that makes it sound like none of these things I'm saying right now are very crazy. And in fact, he'll tell you, you know, I was a very progressive person. I actually have a lot of democratic ideals. And he'll say a couple things that you're like, you know what, actually, I agree with that. And that's what's missing from our society now, is this ability. I've said it before, like, people get mad when I say Trump said something funny. Or people get mad if I say Elon said something funny or did something funny, because they're like, fuck that. Nothing this person ever does is ever funny. And it's like, well, hold on. I didn't say he was a good person. I didn't say he's a great leader. I just said one thing the person said in their entire life made me giggle. I still think they're shitty people. I still think they're bad human beings. But I'm not going to deny that something that they said was funny, because that's not logical. You're not critically thinking. You're thinking with your emotions. So the reason I say that is because the opposite is also true. When you're listening to somebody and they're talking like this and they're doing a good job of, keeping their tone in this area of, I'm just asking questions. I'm just making my opinion known to you guys about what I think is right. That sometimes that tone don't match the shit that he's saying. And when you hear the things he say, you should take them and you should remove all the bullshit from around them and ask yourself, what is at the core of what this person is thinking, and what is the goal? What's the end game? And the end game, when you figure it out, is fucking scary for everybody but the wealthiest people. Very scary. Yeah, I see you asking for a link there, Squishmallow. I'm telling you, I might be right. I might be wrong. But I think a decade from now, y'all are going to be talking about this, and you're going to forget that I said anything about this shit. This is Leeja Miller, and what she's talking about right now is cyber libertarianism, techno-feudalism. You could call it a bunch of different things, but it's an idea of the dark enlightenment, and yeah. It's, in my opinion, this is what's happening right now. This is what they're trying to do. I feel like I said, I think that Donald Trump is playing this game like he's a poker player with all the chips on the table, and he has pushed his entire hand into the pot. It feels like right now what is going on is that America recognized that the rest of the world was getting ahead of them in this race for AI, in this race for green energy, and decided that they have to take one last gasp effort at being the person in the driver's seat when it comes to AI. And that's why I think you're seeing all of this chaoticness and craziness right now, is because I genuinely believe that they think, fuck it. If the place burns down and we don't win, then I don't care. And if the place burns down and we win, then great. And if the place doesn't burn down and we win, well, that'd be fine too. But I feel like they will know right now that they might be burning this country to the ground, and they don't care because they think this is their last gasp effort at being the country ahead of everybody else to turn the rest of the world into vassals. That's really what I believe.
Himself an intellectual, using words like opprobrious and speaking in a condescending tone, is able to make it seem like the billionaires killing all of us are actually here to save us, and we're all stupid idiots who fell for the progressive lies being fed to us by society. We're in the cult. He's the red-pilled enlightened prophet here to save all of those who will listen.
Maybe I'm not.
This is a computer nerd who took the idea of playing devil's advocate way too far, and who's also stumbled on the right words.
Who is it that's asking? Here, let me go over that. Here, I'll open Twitch because I think I don't get all the Twitch comments. Let me do this real quick. I don't think I get all the Twitch comments. Restream's doing a bad job. Oh no, what is going? Don't do that. What is that? What is going? Don't do that. Can I pop this out? No. Here we go. Let's see. Oh God, this is like overwhelming. I need to just turn off the restream bot so I don't have to see that shit. Yeah, I don't see anybody even over here asking a question. Am I missing something? Did I miss something? Oh, you said that just in case. Okay. Trolling me. Trolling me. Now I'm watching my own stream on Twitch. All right, here you go.
To say to get powerful people to listen to him. And in this day and age, if you have someone who understands tech or computers, he then loves to impute a greater genius or higher understanding onto them, despite the fact that they haven't earned it. Just because a white guy founded a tech company does not mean he's smarter than the average person. Let me say that again. Just because a white guy founded a tech company does not mean he's smarter than the average person. And this is also why white nationalists love Yarvin and the neo-reactionary philosophy. It gives them a convenient excuse cloaked in pseudo-intellectualism for why they shouldn't have to bother themselves with equality, and why actually their racism and misogyny is good, because those democratic values just get in the way of true progress. It makes them feel enlightened.
And just so you know, too, one of the things they believe is they believe racism is okay. They believe that we're making a mistake, that we should allow all the racists to live in their own society if they choose to, and that we should just live next door to them. Like, this is like a hyper libertarian idealism. Is that somebody asked me, they said, well, don't you think they'll clash with the Project 2025 people? And I said, maybe at one point, but right now they have the same ideas, right? Because the 2025 people want a section of the country, if they want the whole country, but they would be willing to accept, to start with, a section of the country where their ideals, their laws, their traditions are theirs, right? And what they want is just to get their foot through the door. So at the beginning of all this, if the cyber libertarians, the Peter Thiels of the world, the Curtis Yarvins of the world, and the Stephen Votts of the world, the Project 2025 people, come to an agreement that these enclaves of people can exist and each person can be in charge of their own well-being, then what you're going to end up with is you're going to have Handmaid's Tale in this corner, you're going to have Idiocracy in this corner, you're going to have Elysium in this corner, you're going to have all, and then you're going to have fucking American History X in this corner, right? And eventually that's going to lead to some type of intercontinental wars, because obviously once they get their foot through the door, they want to kick that fucking thing open. So, yeah, right now they're going to get along. But in the future, eventually it won't, right?
Philosophical, above it all, after decades of being made to feel ashamed for being raging bigots. It assures them there is a natural order to things, and they are at the top of that order. And I wanted to talk about this today because I think it's important to understand this underlying philosophy, to call it what it is, to put names and faces to the people pulling the philosophical strings behind the madness.
Vicky,
but also
100%.
because I think it's important to talk about this stuff in light of what is currently a waning democracy, that is the United States. I talked about this last week, but it is very easy, I do it too, to look backwards to try to figure out where we're going. These are all the ways Trump is like Hitler. Here's how Hitler did it. Let's look into that to learn from history so we can try and predict.
Oh, Leeja, are we about to be best friends for life for real? Leeja, are we about to be best friends for life for real, Leeja? God, tell me. Come on, Leeja, say that it's about looking forward. Come on, Leeja. Come on. Because I'm telling you guys, like, I hear all you guys I understand the criticisms of who Donald Trump is as a human being. But I think what we're dealing with is something that is much different than what we've experienced in the past. Come on, Leeja. Be the one person that fucking agrees with me, Leeja. Come on. I don't want to feel alone no more.
Predict what Trump is going to do next. But 2025 is not the same as 1935. And much like the Industrial Revolution of the 100 years leading up to the 20th century fundamentally changed the order of society, so too has the advent of the internet in the 50 years leading up to this present moment. The accumulation of wealth that the internet has fast-tracked, either directly or indirectly, spurred on by governments that were fumbling to pass regulations quickly enough to keep up and have largely failed, and now the computing power that has been and continues to be created by AI, another computing revolution that governments have no idea how to handle, is entirely new in the history of the world. Technological advancements have shaped the world over and over throughout history, from the printing press to the steam engine, but the internet has accelerated how quickly innovations can change all of us, and AI is the latest advancement that I do not think...
Why do I feel like Leeja is about to sell me like some internet services?
It's an overstatement to say is a full...
I feel like I'm being sold a VPN right now.
On technological revolution with the power to shape our global systems, our societies, our governments, and more. There was the initial wave of discovering that ChatGPT can write your homework for you, which has died down as we've all discovered that it's actually not that good at that. And also it uses unconscionable amounts of energy to operate. But that was truly just the start. And AI's potential beyond individual user inputs.
By the way, that's why they want freedoms from regulations. So to create these AI centers, they need like personal nuclear reactors, right? Like these little small ones. They're small, like they're the size of houses or bigger, but they're small compared to the big ones, right? So they want the loosening of regulations on this shit because they need to put those like right next door to any AI data center that they're going to create. Like the one that's going to happen over in Saudi Arabia, that one might have multiple nuclear reactors around it. And that's why this whole America First bullshit is a complete fucking lie. It's because they know this. It's just literally they're taking advantage of Americans' patriotism, their poor education. That's what they're taking advantage of.
I love the poorly educated.
Because they know that the reality is that they need to be able to participate with these other countries because these other countries like Saudi Arabia don't have the regulations that America has. This is a tale as old as time. This is what we've been doing forever. And so when you have something like needing to put the nuclear reactors into these areas, you need less regulations. So that way, if like no one will sell you their land in a place where there aren't people, and the only place you can buy land is where there are people, or it just makes more sense to have it there, it's more profitable to have it there, then they're going to want to put a nuclear reactor like right next door to your mom's house. She ain't grow a third arm, probably a fourth eye. She's probably already got 3 already. Just saying, your mom's ugly. Oh, sorry. I digress. These people are going to continue to work with the rest of the world and make deals with the rest of the world Meanwhile, they're going to tell you that you're supposed to hate the rest of the world and you're supposed to be scared of the rest of the world. Because in this equation, you are the patsy. You are the person being conned. They're not going to stop working with Saudi Arabia. It's not going to be American first. It's techno-oligarch first.
Is only just beginning to be unpacked. And AI is very central to this discussion about dark enlightenment and neo-reactionism because it is truly the pinnacle of techno-capitalism and has been floated as a potential tool for future governing. Not to be used by future governments, but instead to take the place of governments. ChatGPT's parent company OpenAI was co-founded by Elon Musk and now CEO Sam Altman. Altman has been increasingly friendly with Trump, just this last week appearing at an event with Saudi officials.
Look at this goofy motherfucker. Holy shit.
Despite origins that indicated a dedication to transparency and safety in their development of AI, Sam Altman has increasingly pushed OpenAI towards faster and faster product launches, foregoing safety for quote-unquote progress, according to reporting in The Atlantic based off the forthcoming book Empire of AI by Karen Howe, which is absolutely now on my reading list. The article in The Atlantic quotes Bloomberg saying that research into the actual effects of AI, quote, raises an uncomfortable prospect that this supposedly revolutionary technology might never deliver on its promise of broad economic transformation, but instead just concentrate more wealth at the top. Indeed, Sam Altman has touted the benefits of OpenAI's work as moving us ever closer to the promised land, also known as artificial general intelligence, or AGI, meaning autonomous AI that has reached or surpassed levels of human intelligence. Altman claims the arrival of AGI would bring, quote, massive prosperity. But according to the article in The Atlantic, quote, AGI is largely rhetorical, a fantastical, all-purpose excuse.
It's not something that's what that Chris Norlund video was talking about, what Chris Norlund was saying, like they never follow through on these promises. The reality of AI is that AI is going to make people's lives that are already really good even better. Or, you know, depending on how you look at it, probably worse because they're going to become less human. They're going to become more immoral. They're going to have more access to things, which means that they're going to lose that feeling you get when you accomplish things. That's what's going to happen. There's this idea, there's certain places where I do agree, but there's this idea that AI is going to become superhuman in this intelligence where it's going to think of things that human beings never could, right? But the problem with that is that it's trained off of humans. Therefore, it's starting from the idea of thinking like a human. Therefore, it is going to most likely just think about things like a really intelligent human. So things like vaccines, for instance, right? An AI will be really good at creating vaccines. One of the problems with vaccines is that though it is a very, 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 very small percentage of people, some people do have poor reactions to vaccines. Once again, as I said before, denying that something happens is not the way to go through your argument. You accept that something happens, and then you explain why it's still incredibly important to take vaccines. So what would be great about AI is that AI could take your human genome, your DNA, and it can look and it can see, oh, this specific vaccination for measles, let's say, actually could harm this person because they have this genetic issue, right? Or they have this deficiency. And then it could take that vaccine and it can manipulate it to make it more specific to you. So that's something that's like well beyond our understanding right now. It could find cures for cancer. It could find better, more available medicines. Like a lot of our pain medicines, a lot of our medicines, period, come from the rainforest and from our research into the rainforest, which is something that we are every day getting rid of more and more of the rainforest, which means one day we probably won't have that go-to to find. So we will need something like AI to say, well, you know what is very close to the genetic makeup of this thing that makes this painkiller? This other thing. And if you combine it with this thing, then you have the same results. So AI has this real ability to do these really amazing things for society, but it should never be over-exaggerated to make people feel like it's going to be this like omnipotent being that's capable of thinking of, you know, like it's not going to tell you where there's life in the universe, right? It might be able to tell you where statistically it's the most probable, but it knows what we know. And so it's just they're overselling the promise of this. Most likely what AI will be used for is to manipulate things like the stock market to continue to make huge profits for people that are already making huge profits. As I've said before about the stock market, do I play in the stock market? Do I make some money out of the stock market? Yeah, on occasion. Am I wealthy? By no means am I wealthy. But making $500 here and there feels really big to me because I don't have a ton of money. But I'm not going to be the person that has access to this AI. So what's that going to do? It's going to, once again, put one more hurdle, one more obstacle between me and just creating enough money to have a retirement at one point. And it's going to add just one more benefit to being born ultra wealthy and to continue the cycle of keeping people poor whilst keeping the rich so far above them that they don't have to smell them. Like that's the overselling of what this is. And I'm glad she brought that up. And I like that Chris Norlund brought that up as well.
For OpenAI to continue pushing for ever more wealth and power. Under the guise of a civilizing mission, the empire of AI is accelerating its global expansion and entrenching its power.
They have somebody
so it's no wonder why Sam Altman and OpenAI are associated with Elon Musk, who's associated with Peter Thiel, who's associated with JD Vance, who all at various points tout the teachings and philosophy of Curtis Yarvin and other proponents of dark enlightenment, neo-reactionism, and accelerationism. AI offers the ultimate example of potential progress at the expense of individuals who happen to get in the way of that progress. So what if you're a worker in Kenya earning a pitiful wage to become deeply traumatized while filtering out violence and hate speech from OpenAI's technologies? So what if—
And that's another good point, because you know what's going to happen is it's going to happen places that aren't America first, right? It's going to happen in these other countries where like Americans don't give two shits about or just aren't at all educated.
I love the poorly educated.
Right? Like they're always going to start somewhere where you can't see, where they've created enough hate and anger against that populace that if you do find out about it, that you won't care. So people in Vietnam are going to lose their jobs before people in America. People in Cambodia are going to lose their jobs before people in America. You know, because if they can hide it long enough to fine-tune it before they bring it in to displace you, that's all the better for them.
If you're an artist or journalist getting phased out by the AI that is using your very art or words to spew out art or articles faster than any human could. So what if you live in a contaminated area or a region regularly devastated by increasing natural disasters because of the climate change being hastened by the further development of AI? All of it is worth it in the end, in the name of progress. And anyway, it doesn't really matter because the ultimate height of human achievement and technological progress is colonizing Mars, where we can escape from the disasters that AI has brought about.
We have homesickness.
And by we, I mean a select few billionaires, but again, it's all in the name of progress, and that's all that matters. And while all of this is very new and spurred on by technologies the world has never seen before, it is also in some ways a tale as old as time. So long as your philosophy posits you as preternaturally ordained for greatness, as a genius among men, you're absolved from contending with the humanity of the people your actions are hurting. You can point to a higher purpose while stamping out the life around you. That is not new. And when you understand this background, the rise of these uniquely 21st century ideologies like dark enlightenment, neo-reactionism, accelerationism, and the men like Curtis Yarvin who have garnered fame from developing them, or like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and JD Vance who have gained power and fortune from adhering to them, or like Trump who's definitely too stupid to understand any of this.
Once again, I want to make that completely clear to everybody. Everybody gives Trump too much credit in this scheme. He's just a pansy. He's just a distraction. He's just some fool that got paid a bunch of money to sell out America. That's what the fuck Trump was.
But delighted to act as a dummy figurehead to wave at the crowds and sign the decrees, you then are better able to understand why the disparate groups of people behind Project 2025 and who are pulling the strings in the White House now are able to pull this all off despite the apparent chaos it's causing, despite their apparent disagreements. They are all in some way united behind a greater purpose wherein their greed, bigotry, and sociopathic inability to feel empathy is all justified. Where the world order that puts them, white Christian men and the women who are willing to birth their babies, at the very top is reestablished, and where the pain that their ideologies cause, whether through higher prices because of tariffs, or deporting toddlers, or keeping a legally dead woman on life support to act as a flesh receptacle for her 9-week-old fetus despite her family's wishes, that can all be justified as necessary to their ultimate goal of progress. And I think all of us collectively recognizing this and calling it out for what it is an important first step. It can be easy to fall into cynicism when faced with such a large, deeply entrenched, and very scary ideology, so I'm trying not to do that by, at the very least, just shedding more light on these things. I also think it's an important lesson for those of us who wish to counteract this incredibly cynical force that has taken over our government. You have to know your enemy, but we also have to be driven by something bigger than us, something that is genuinely deeply meaningful, something that will align us across differences of opinion and background in an effort towards that deeply meaningful goal. And I'm not sure what that is, but I refuse to let right-wing cynicism infect my belief that there's got to be something positive we can all get behind for the benefit of each other and humanity generally. If you want to support my work, all my videos are completely ad-free and uncensored over on Patreon, patreon.com/Leeja Miller. Thank you to my multi-platinum page.
Yeah, and you guys should. Leeja's dope, man. I really love Leeja. She's so dope. Here you go. And this is something that I've been asked before by people. I think it was maybe last stream. Angela sells homes, one of our dope ass community members. I said, well, what do we do about it, right? And I know it's not the answer everybody wants, but what Lee just said, it is incredibly important that it is the first step that everybody has, and that is that we talk and that we connect with people that aren't losing their fucking mind, that aren't so mentally unstable that they think that Donald Trump is some kind of God king that's going to free the children from the rings of the Democrats. Like, it's very important that in many ways people network. They find like-minded individuals, because I still have like a lot of hope and a lot of faith in Americans. And I know that's crazy because I sit up here and I make fun of these fucking people all the time. But deep down inside, I am an optimist. I want to believe that we're going to be okay. And the reason I am like that is because I grew up in a really bad place. And I know that it doesn't do any good for anybody to have this extremely pessimistic point of view that there is no way you can win, right? Like, if I would have had that attitude when I was a kid, I would have never got out of where I got out of. I would have never survived a day with that attitude. And instead, I always had the attitude: you put your head down and you work, and you continue to keep faith that things are going to get better. And because of that, I am where I am today, you know. And I can tell you that that's light years away from who and where I was when I was a child. And I think that it may not be a gratifying answer to that question, but it is the first answer to that question. And that is, you need to speak out against injustice. You need to talk to people that potentially don't agree with you on the subject and try to find a way to reach them to show that, like, you're supporting your own slavery. You're supporting the slavery of your friends, your family, your loved ones. And I know a lot of Trump supporters don't have friends, families, or loved ones anymore, so they're hard to reach. But you gotta be able to say, Aristotle said, he said, you don't want to be a pure democracy, and you don't want to be tyranny or oligarchy, right? And he said instead, like, there's something better than that, something in between. And I think that we really achieved that in America. I think that for the most part, other than the certain things that have been subverted, like money getting really deep into politics, there's been some failures. But we've achieved something, a governmental system that has made an immense amount of progress, that isn't perfect, that isn't great for many people that live here in this country, but was getting better. And I don't think that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think you just look at the system and just toss it out the window, because I think that's what these people are doing. Instead, I think what you do is that you speak to the hope that America can get back on board with progress and being an example, and its people being a shining example of what innovation and creativeness and hard work can accomplish. And I don't think that we're going to achieve that through these people and their techno-oligarchy bullshit. I think that we're going to achieve that through the same thing that we've always achieved that, and that is through the American people who built and have defined this country. Everything from the people that came here as slaves to the people that came here as immigrants to the people that have, through the generations, been born into many different life experiences and have achieved so much. So it's not the best answer. I know everybody wants to hear, pick up your gun and go fight. But I think that there's some extreme negatives to that. But I don't think that there will never be a time where that won't be the answer. So just a heads up. Let's see. Let's watch this Ezra Klein video. Hold on. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. Okay? I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. And then I'll come back and we'll finish up. We've got like 30 minutes or 40 minutes left. Let's see. What can I put on here for you guys while I do this? I wonder if I still have...
No one ever doubts I mean what I say. It's just that sometimes I say all that I mean. But folks, let me tell you what I literally tell every world leader I met with, and I've met them all. It's never, never, never been a good bet to bet against America. We have the finest fighting force in the world. Not only Not only do we have the largest economy in the world, we have the strongest economy in the world. We have the most productive workers in the world. And given a fair shot, given a fair chance, Americans have never, ever, ever, ever let their country down. Never. Never. Ordinary people like us who do extraordinary things. We've had candidates before who attempted to get elected by appealing to our fears, but they've never succeeded because we do not scare easily. We never bow. We never bend. We never break when confronted with crisis. No, we endure, we overcome, and we always, always, always move forward. That's why I can say with absolute conviction, I am more optimistic about our chances today than when I was elected as a 29-year-old kid to the Senate. The 21st century is going to be the American century. Because we lead not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. That is the history of the journey of America. We are America, second to none, and we own the finish line. God bless you all, and may God protect our...
All right. I don't know if that audio still works. That's a great speech by Joe Biden. All right, what are we gonna end with here? We'll watch a couple videos actually. Before we go there, let's watch this one real quick because I like this one. There you go. This is Jim's Radio, is that what this guy's called? His channel is awesome. Yeah, Jim's Radio Shop. So this is Jim's Radio Shop. This is a video. I watched a bit of Fox News. Oh my God. I love this old guy. He is fucking amazing. He's a Canadian.
I said before, Swift. I do one of these stand-up type videos when something happened that spurred me on, and something did happen that has spurred me on. Actually, two things. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about it. I'm too upset to continue working on this stuff right now. I took a little coffee break and I watched a bit of Fox News. I never watch Fox News. I think Fox News has very little traction in Canada.
That's like great to hear. That makes me feel so good to know. Well, also it makes me feel really bad because then once again, it just becomes a really distinctly American problem.
But I decided to watch a little piece just to see what's going on. And I found it incredibly upsetting. There's 4 people sitting on a couch type thing, having their coffee and chit-chatting about the news. 4 completely would appear.
I went black on my side. Well, was it not? It wasn't finished? Ah, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll play it at the end. I thought that it was. I thought it was finished. My bad, Mike.
Me, completely unqualified, non-journalistic people. And the level of nonsense that came out of their mouths is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hold on, one more time.
That's what upset me so much.
Hold on.
Because
Hold on. Oh, fuck. That was amazing.
4 completely, would appear to me, completely unqualified, non-journalistic people. And the level of nonsense that came out of their mouths is unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's what upset me so much. Because I realized I'm watching Dear Leader TV.
Dear Leader TV. My man just fucking calls it with such like calm fucking words of logic, dude.
I'm watching Dear Leader TV. Unbelievable what they were doing there.
Damn,
in Canada here, our journalism is quite intact. We have professional journalists. Doesn't really matter what channel you watch or what radio station you listen to. You're going to hear relatively professional news delivered to you.
Dude, what's that like? How do I move to Canada? I got to figure this shit out. It sounds like you guys got it way better up there. I think that's a solid move, I think.
It could be because we have an anchor here in Canada.
This dude is so Canadian.
Corporation, which may provide a bit of an anchor or a foundation or a standard that other journalists have to achieve too. But I really don't think that's a strong situation here in Canada. I think Canadian journalists are good. Those people,
like, it's so hard to say that in America. And I've met a couple good journalists. Clay Risen's dope. Ezra Klein's dope. But it's hard to speak about any of our mainstream media options as if they're like actually doing the job of real journalism. And I do believe that is like part of the real problem, the downfall of our society was when the fairness doctrine pretty much went away, and news media became this for-profit situation where manipulating people and their emotions was more important than reporting the facts.
People I saw sitting around in that Fox News thing.
We can claim asylum from Donald J. Trump? No shit! I know they don't want my American cooties, LB. Dude, that hurts my feelings.
They should not be on your national television. They have no credentials, and they clearly are just spouting off stuff they heard. And
damn, he said spouting off stuff they heard. Oh, let me tell you.
I love the poorly educated. This is an island surrounded by water. Big water, ocean water.
Nonsense at that. But what really scares me a lot is Americans are sitting and casually listening to that kind of nonsense that they were pumping out.
Like this?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating.
Casually listening.
They're eating the pets.
And of course, I'm talking about tariffs and Trump's various actions.
Oh, is that what he's talking about?
President Trump's actions. Stunning, hard to believe. But then, as if I'm not upset enough, I did a little work on the radio here for a few minutes. I went back, had a little more coffee, watched another piece on my television. This time, it's, I'm not sure of his name, Mr. Besant, coming out and saying, well, countries aren't playing along, so we're going to go back to the original high tariff list.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
The insanity of this is unbelievable. The fact that a man like that would come out and say this kind of stuff in an attempt to bully and threaten the world to fall in line and just swallow whatever the United States is trying to do. It's shocking to me. What happened to this guy? And the same thing with Mr. Rubio, who seemed rather ordinary and normal.
It's because
I love the poorly educated.
They love the poorly educated.
But now he doesn't. Now he doesn't seem normal at all. What is happening here in your country, in your government? What is happening to these people? That they seem to have just lost touch with all the fundamentals.
I love Tesla.
Are focused on I don't know what anymore. No one knows.
That's what they're focused on, my dude.
And as for the world playing along, that's not going to happen. The world has decided to not play along, and the Americans would be wise to figure that out and to change course, because the world is not going to knuckle under. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is these guys really feel like Besant and Trump really feel like they're like calling a bluff that I don't think exists. I'm telling you, I 100% believe they've pushed America's fucking chips to the middle of the table and called the bluff of the other countries sitting around the table. And the other countries sitting around the table looked at each other and went, what do you got? And he said, well, I don't want to tell you what I got. And they said, I'll tell you what. Fuck America. You tell me what you got. I'll tell you what I got. And we're going to put these guys out of business. That's what they're doing right now. China is looking at Canada and going, tell me what you got in your hand. I'll tell you what I got in mine. Yeah, I got a pair of aces. Oh, I got 4 of a kind. You think you can beat America? I think we can beat America together. That's what's happening, and it's fucking sad, man. Because it doesn't need to be this way. It never needed to be this way. The best thing that America could have done in the situation that we're in with our debt, with our problem with our debt right now, would have been to work with these other countries to find parity, to say, we're going to move further ahead and you're going to come with us. We're going to do these things not just for us, but for you too. And we're going to do it for the world. But we all know what happened to those people. They all claim that they're so scared of this new world order that was going to happen. Bro, they're going to take over the world. There's going to be 4 people on a council that have death fucking trials for people, blah, 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 all this shit. And what happened? They became those people. They became the people that are like, no, America should be the only country that matters. They became America should rule the world. They became imperialism. It's fucking crazy.
Man. So, I apologize for making this video. I really don't intend to become one of these guys who stands in front of the camera like I'm doing now and mouths off. I do not want to be one of those people. I'm much more intent of doing radio repair work and burning my brain cells out on that.
I think Jim was just low-key roasting me. Damn, Jim. That one hurt my feelings.
Stuff, and not on Mr. Trump and the United States. It's a totally crazy approach to things. Just lunatic approach to things.
Lunatic. Fucking lunatic.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
Yeah, fucking lunatic.
We're all going to pay a price for it. All of us in the world.
Yep.
Well, thanks a lot for listening to this, and be honest, I don't feel any better. I don't think mouthing off like this makes me feel any better about the situation at all. So, well, do your best to have a great day. Some radio repairs here.
Good job, Jim. I feel you, Jim. Venting don't make me happy either. Venting don't make me happy. That's why I like talking to you guys. That's why I like going through these things in the video and analyzing. And that's why I don't like just like getting super emotional and yelling about shit, although I do it sometimes, right? It's because really at the end of the day, that's not what makes me feel better. What makes me feel better is working with people to try to like figure out how to like fix the situation. Talking to people about certain things that like I don't understand and getting better educated on it. And finding myself in a position where I can speak better to certain topics that, you know, I'm still behind a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys are always telling me shit that I don't know, always being better informed on a lot of this stuff. So, like, that's what makes me feel better, and that's why I like doing these shows, and that's why I show up and talk to you guys all the time, is because it's not venting that I want to do. It's learning, educating, and, you know, analyzing the shit that's going on right now so that way we can feel more in control of our future. Like, that's really what I want to do. I think we could get through these last two videos. Let's watch Robert Reich. Let's watch Robert Reich talk about the second Gilded Age and what Trump is actually trying to accomplish in this country right now.
Donald Trump wants you to think that he's bringing back the golden age of economic prosperity of the 1950s and 1960s.
This will be indeed the golden age of America.
Thanks,
it's coming
Rich.
back. We're going to come back very strongly.
But in reality, he's dragging us towards something else. The Gilded Age of the 1890s. Pop quiz.
That's so funny, too, because like, he literally says those years. He says between 1870 and 1913, right? Like, he constantly tells his MAGA supporters 1870 to 1913 were the best years. And I'm like, anybody that fucking went to school and learned history knows that, like, that was an extremely bad time for just being an average American, and it was great for wealthy people. Like, the instability between 1870 and 1913 for middle-class Americans was so crazy that at some points they were like, wow, we're doing really well, and they go buy a house, and then like 2 years later it would foreclose. It's a lot like what just happened with COVID. Same shit, right? Like, people, they get flush with the stimulus because that's what the government does. They buy houses that were far outside of their ability to own them in such an unstable economy. 2 years later, they get foreclosed on, right? It's crazy that Donald Trump can say straight up to his supporters the years that he thought were great, and these fucking people won't even go and look at what happened between 1870 to 1913 to determine whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing for them.
Which of these would you prefer? But in reality, he's dragging us towards something else. The Gilded Age of the
FDR
1890s.
fixed all that shit.
Pop quiz. Which of these would you prefer? Dirty meat or meat that's safe to eat? Deadly working conditions and no weekends off? Or safe working conditions and spending time with friends on a Saturday?
I love
if
Tesla.
You pick dirty meat and deadly working conditions, well, then the Gilded Age is the choice for you. But seriously, nobody wants this. Except apparently Donald Trump.
You know, our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913.
See? What did I say? What did I say?
That's because the Gilded Age was dominated, both economically and politically, by a privileged elite, largely at the expense of everyone else. You want to know the main difference between Trump's Gilded Age and the prosperity of the 1950s? Worker power. During the Gilded Age, organized labor was weak, corporations were largely unregulated, and inequality was rampant. Thanks to the efforts of progressive reformers and organized labor in the first half of the 20th century, workplaces were safer, and workers gained more bargaining power. By 1954, 35%.
And Trump hates unions. Like, if you're a union member and you voted for Trump, you're a moron. I'm sorry. If you feel like you made a mistake and you fucked up by doing that, just learn from it, man. Just fucking like realize Donald Trump ripped up protections for union members in the federal workforce. He ripped up protections for union members that were veterans. Like the TSA, same shit, man. Ripped up protections. If you vote for Donald Trump and you're in a union, you're not a smart human being. Jesus Christ.
Of American workers in the private sector were union members. Corporate taxes were around 50%. And the top marginal tax rate on the wealthiest Americans was 91%. In the 3 decades that followed World War II, America created the largest middle class the world had ever seen.
Yep.
During those years, the earnings of the typical...
And isn't it crazy that we don't talk about doing that? Like, how fucking insane are people? Donald Trump's like, the best time that ever existed was 1870 to 1913. And these people are like, hell yeah, it was. Oh my God. Meanwhile, there's literally a portion of Americans' history that was the greatest time to be somebody in the middle class. And because it coincides with progressive values, because it coincides with Franklin Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, whichever progressive president you want to call out, during their fucking tenures, like, to be middle class, it was actually good for you. And instead of saying to themselves, man, that would be the time I would like to go back to. Man, I would love to go back to when middle class people were doing really well. Instead, these dumb motherfuckers are like somewhere between 1870 and 1913. That's the sweet spot.
I love the poorly educated.
American worker doubled, just as the size of the American economy doubled. The country, while still imperfect, shrank inequality dramatically. That is exactly what Trump and his Republican allies want to roll back. He wants the rich to be richer, unions to be weaker, and everyone else to be easier to exploit. Next time you hear him talking about how much wealthier Americans will be thanks to him, remember that he's not talking about you.
Thank you, Robert Reich. Luckily, there are still some people left that have a voice, that are speaking out and helping to educate people. Because I don't know what this fucking world would be like without Robert Reich or people like Robert Reich. It'd be pretty goddamn sad. All right, we got one more. We got one more video. I think I'm going to make it through all the videos today, guys. Somehow. Oh, we probably stayed over time. We might hop on and have a special stream to watch part 2 of this video. This is just part 1. I'll link part 2 for you guys if you guys want to watch it. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it for you guys. But maybe we'll have another stream sometimes this week to watch the second part of this. This is about the big ugly bill. This is about what it actually does.
We live for reasons I won't pretend to understand. In an age when the only truly bipartisan idea is that landmark legislation demands BBB alliteration.
I believe Petrazi, welcome, first of all, Petrazi, welcome. But I believe you got that from Maitesh, I think, might have gifted you that membership.
Idea is that landmark legislation demands BBB alliteration. President Joe Biden's signature proposal was Build Back Better. Now President Trump has yoked his presidency, yoked all.
Build Back Better, too, in its original form. I think I heard Kyle Kalinske say this, and I agree with this. If Build Back Better got passed in its original form, if it wasn't for Kristen fucking Sinema and Joe Traitor-ass Manchin, if it wasn't for those two garbage-ass, wannabe, fake-as-fuck lefties, if it wasn't for them, I bet you money that Kamala Harris would have won. The economy would have been better. People would have had daycare for their kids, paid family leave. There's so many things in the original Build Back Better that were, like, absolutely amazing. Now, I will say this. I will say that Joe Biden made a mistake naming it the Build Back Better plan, because there was already, and I didn't know this because I don't know about all these stupid fucking conspiracy theories. I don't take a lot of shit seriously. But somebody said they came onto one of my videos and they're like, this guy sounds like a Klaus Schwab acolyte. And I was like, I don't even know who Klaus Schwab is, dog. I was like, I hope he's a good person. And all these conspiracy fucks had decided that Klaus Schwab was doing this crazy shit. And his whole forum was Build Back Better. So I do think that even though he had the right idea, because he was trying to, Klaus Schwab was talking about the fact, I do know something about him now, just so you guys know, that, helping equality become a reset for the world, a time of reset with COVID in which we could, bring back the ideas and values of, helping people do better. And so the idea of Build Back Better was great. But unfortunately, it came with this tag of the taint that these conspiracy theorists had put on the term Build Back Better. So I think that you could have done that better. But I do believe if Build Back Better would have been passed, that we would be living in a different age right now.
All of us. To his
big, beautiful, that gorgeous, big, beautiful bill.
I'm actually.
Let me suggest another name for it. Squitch. I'll even stay on trend. The big budget bomb. I'm recording this on Wednesday, May 21st. It's always possible things will change.
It is Thursday, May 22nd. It is 7:01 on the East Coast, and we've got breaking news. Moments ago, the House just passed President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
The bill is passed.
President Trump with this reaction. Now it's time for our friends in the United States Senate to get to work and send the bill to my desk as soon as possible.
But as of right now, the damage this thing will do to the budget, if it detonates, is hard to properly convey, in part because the size of this thing is hard to properly convey. And the budget, to be honest, is only where the problems this bill...
And you guys like that too? You guys like that when they were trying to push the CR, right? With all the exceptions for cancer treatment for children or research of cancer treatment for children, all that stuff. What did they say? They said all bills should be so small that they should be easy for a person to ingest and read in a good amount of time. This bill that they're trying to push through is 1,000 pages, and it is done intentionally. Every accusation is a fucking confession. They didn't want that CR to go through with all of those things because they don't want America researching childhood cancer. They don't give a fuck about it. They want to spend their time fake researching autism. They want to keep you distracted while they do dumb shit and steal money from you. The hypocrisy of saying that CR needed to be cut down to only 70 pages because people had to be able to read it and ingest it in time, yet then pushing through 1,000-page bloated bullshit bill. Like, I see you. I see what you're doing. I ain't falling for that shit. I'm not a Trump supporter.
I love the poorly educated.
Would cause begin. When you're thinking about the size and cost of legislation, you got two different sides to keep in mind. How much the bill costs, either through new spending or tax cuts, and how much of that cost is paid for versus added to the debt. The Inflation Reduction Act was expected to cost about $500 billion over 10 years. And it paid for that spending and more through tax increases. The Affordable Care Act was expected to cost about $1 trillion over 10 years. All of that, again, paid for. Trump's 2017 tax reform bill, when you added everything up, left an estimated $1.5 trillion of tax cuts unpaid for.
Yeah, that's an old.
The big budget bomb exists in a class unto itself.
Yeah, $5 trillion.
According to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, which I think nowadays is Washington's saddest advocacy group, if you take seriously the permanence the Republicans are actually seeking, the big budget bomb will add about $5 trillion to the debt over the next decade.
They're full of shit,
That is an insane number. You remember when Trump promised to balance the budget?
I want to do what has not been done in 24 years. Balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
Yeah, who balanced that budget? Who balanced that budget?
I also remember that. That happened in March. I've been talking about what the bill does to the budget. But here's what this bill does.
They don't care, man. They don't care about people. I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise. They're the anti-people party, man. Like, they are the party of me, not the party of we. And the fact that Republicans somehow, regardless of the fact that every time a Republican president is in office, they bloat the fucking debt to insane proportions. Despite the fact that that happens every fucking time, these people still claim that they are concerned about the American debt. It's fucking mind-boggling. I sit there and I try to think, because I'm a stupid fucking person. I think that I can make sense of shit. I think if I can just sit here and think about it for long enough from their point of view, I'm going to figure out what these people are thinking. And not a single time can I come up with any answer other than these people want someone to hate. They want somebody to be the reason that they're failing at life. These people don't care about facts or statistics or reality. All they give a shit about is thinking that someone else, somewhere else, is the reason that they're not doing okay. It's so fucking wild. Donald Trump added $4 trillion to the government debt before his CARES Act. He added another $4 trillion after. He added 30%. Donald Trump by himself is in some way or another, he's the man who made almost 30% of our debt happen. That's fucking insane to be the party of we're going to balance the debt. And over his 2 terms, he is estimated to add $13 to $15 trillion of debt to America. How do you fucking defend that?
In the real world, it cuts taxes, mostly for richer people. It cuts Medicaid and food stamps. Republicans are also allowing some Obamacare subsidies to expire. And so the estimate is that between all this, 13 million people, 13 million, will lose health insurance. It's also grimly exact. The bill has $1.1 trillion in tax cuts for people who make more than $500,000 a year. And it has $1.1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. It is a straight transfer from people who cannot afford food and medical care to people who can afford to fly first class. The bill also guts the tax credits that support the wind, solar, electric vehicle, and nuclear power industries.
Just so you guys are aware, and nuclear power industries. Once again, some shit that fucking Republicans consistently sit there and talk about. Like, oh, the reason the left is stupid is the left doesn't understand that nuclear power is actually better than green energy. And I'm like, oh, that's really funny you say that, because actually I'm a supporter of nuclear energy, and I agree. I think that we should be moving more towards nuclear energy that is up to date technologically, not old shit, up to date. Why do you think they do that? Because these motherfuckers are shills for the oil industry, and they don't actually believe anything that they say. They do not stand on any principle. They do not have morality that grounds them in the things that they believe. These are people that if you wave a alleged $5,000 Doge check in front of their face, they don't give 2 shits if you fire veterans. They don't care if you ruin, what is that town in West Virginia where it's the largest employer, the budget place in West Virginia. It's the largest employer in this small fucking town that has been absolutely demolished by the loss of industry. The largest supplier. And they fired like 100 fucking people from there. These people don't actually have any grounding in the things they believe. It's just one time they were hurt. One time somebody said something and blamed it on somebody else and they agreed. One time somebody took advantage of their anger and they used vitriol and rhetoric to properly position them to look across the aisle at the person that's trying to help them, trying to give them UBI, trying to give them health care, trying to help people that legit hate them. One time they did that, and they said, for life, I'm always going to stand with this person. That type of loyalty is actually kind of fucking impressive. It's something you don't see on the left. On the left, you see people consistently having people that are trying to work a lot for them. People like AOC. People like Bernie Sanders. And in the moment that they don't say Bernie Sanders, stand up and say that, you know, Israel has to leave Palestine, they'll say, fuck Bernie Sanders. It's actually kind of impressive, that loyalty. I don't like it. It's very cult-like. But I am impressed.
China will be thrilled by that. When you think about this bill, you should think about risk. This bill increases our risk of a fiscal crisis. What if all these other countries we're alienating, all these investors we've been scaring, stop buying our debt even as we are creating trillions more in debt we're going to need them to buy?
That's what's happening right now, too.
This bill increases the risk any of us face if we can't afford healthcare or food for our families. If Trump's tariffs cause a recession, this bill gutted the safety net millions of us would have relied on for help.
Yeah, we will.
It pumps tens of billions of dollars into ICE detention facilities and deportation capacity.
All because you're
so it
scared.
raises the risk faced by immigrants or anyone else caught up in the administration's mass deportation and detention operations. Look, I've been a policy journalist for more than 20 years. I've covered more bills than I can count. I cannot remember a crueler or more irresponsible piece of domestic legislation that has been seriously proposed. And its sins are compounded by its size. If the Republicans' big budget bomb goes off, we are all in the blast radius.
Wow. Spot on. And just so you guys know, too, this was part of Project 2025. For those of you guys that don't remember, the whole idea of Project 2025 was that they were already working on all those executive orders that Donald Trump has been signing. They are already working on all of the policies that would be included in the big, beautiful bill before he was elected. Do not forget, this is an anomaly. This isn't out of the ordinary. This isn't just chaos. It was all planned. It's right there in Project 2025. Go back. It's not light reading. Apparently, it's smaller than the big, beautiful bill. But go back and read it. The idea was in the first 100 days to push through every single bit of legislation that they could before things got bogged down in the courts. The idea was that they were to get the House and the Senate, and that they would push through all of their legislation before the midterms. And then you got to ask yourself, why would they be in such a hurry? It's because they knew this was going to be deeply unpopular with not just Democrats, but all of middle-class America. And they knew if they didn't get it done before the midterms, they weren't going to be able to get it done because Americans were going to elect Democrats. So keep that shit in mind. Nina, thank you for the $1.99. I appreciate you, Nina. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I made it the whole time. I'm not totally dying. My chest doesn't. Oh, wait. Nope, that's just a heart attack. No big deal. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Don't forget these words of wisdom from our friend Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, you effin' with some wet-ass P-word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass P-word. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass P-word. P-word. P-word is female genitalia.
Okay. It's very important that you guys always remember that. Those are words of wisdom from our great and esteemed colleague, Ben Shapiro. All right, guys. Thank you, A. Thank you for being here. Like I said, you guys make this shit happen more than I do. I'm just here. You guys make this shit happen. That's an important lesson for everybody. You make this happen. We make this happen. This country isn't good without us. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. I want you guys to remember.
The whole world gone crazy! Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
I want you guys to remember all of these things. All right? God damn it, there's rules. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys. And I've got some stuff to talk about on Tuesday with a couple really cool gentlemen about the future of the channel and things like that. So hopefully that goes well. And other than that, I got to finish editing this interview I had with Deborah Goldman. I have not gotten to it in a while because, to be honest with you, it was the last interview I did with a person, and it felt like people were just so upset it was hard to have a conversation without it kind of rushing off into a real bad place. And so I took a step back from the interviews for a minute, but I do need to edit that and get it going. I thought it was time to give people a little bit of a break, the people I was interviewing. So we're going to take a step back on that, but I'm going to edit that and get it out as soon as possible. If you would, please go check out my new video on the Jordan Klepper Gen Z stuff. If you go to my Angry Ginger channel, you guys can watch the video here. I'll even just click and link it real quick. Let's be a hack. Let's be a hack. Let's do some shameless self-promotion at the end of the show.
We live for reasons I won't pretend to understand.
Ezra, stop. No. Bad Ezra. Okay, the fact that I didn't come up first is very upsetting for me. Where is it? Oh, there it is. All right, guys. Well, there we go. All right, guys. Hey, stop it. Fucking Ginger. This guy. You guys always talking. Here you guys go. If you guys could, for me, if you guys could go watch the video, leave a comment, hit the like button, and yeah, just check it out for me. I'd really appreciate you guys doing that. All right, guys. I love you guys. I hope you guys have the rest of your weekend is good, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for that show. If I don't get on sooner, I might try to get on sooner and watch that other one. Go check it out, and like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to turn on all notifications. I appreciate the shit out of you guys. All right, guys. Love you guys. Have a good weekend.